You are listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
Grab your boomstick and fire up the Delta. It's time for ACTION. Join the Cult of Campbell.
Groovy.
And if you're lucky a little later, I'll let you play with my boomstick.
Welcome everyone to Called Bruce Campbell liked one of our Instagram posts finally.
I know.
2022.
How cool is that?
What a way to end the year. Finally, after 37 episodes.
Yeah.
Nothing but talking about Bruce Campbell. We finally get a bone.
We
He
do.
likes one of our Instagram posts. He finally noticed this.
He did. That was exciting. And it
Yeah.
was just like right at the end of the year. Right before we recorded
A
this
holiday
episode.
miracle.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, it was a holiday miracle.
Yep. Now I can
from
message him
Santa
like,
himself.
hey Bruce, now that we're acquainted, no need for introduction now that we've
Right. Yeah. I mean, basically, we can tell people we met Bruce Campbell now, right? I mean, that's how that works. Basically.
I mean, that's the way I'm seeing it.
Right.
We're here. It's a Call to Campbell. I'm Ty.
I'm Eric.
And today we're giving you our first episode 2022. And we are opening the year by reviewing 2021. A selection of Bruce Campbell content. Our debut year, our first year in podcasting. And we chose to kick it off by talking about Bruce Campbell.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Is how we decided to start our journey into podcasting.
And that's what we're going to be talking about. This journey, where we think the journey's going to go, and just everything in between.
This was like something we started last year. I think it was like, I know we had a meeting at like a coffee shop one time.
Oh, yeah.
Like I kind of offhandedly mentioned, because I'd been wanting to do podcasts for a while. And I think all of us have kind of been wanting to do podcasts for a while.
Yeah.
It'd been like something we were all interested in. So, I mean, most people listen to podcasts pretty regularly. And it's always something you think you can do. And that was one of the interesting parts of this initial kicking off the journey is I think everybody thinks podcasting is you just get in front of a microphone and you start talking and magic happens.
And then people start listening to you talk. Yeah.
We learned very early on that was not the case.
No.
But I had mentioned like offhandedly at a coffee shop one time we was having a meeting or something. I had mentioned like I had an idea for this podcast called Cult of Campbell.
Uh-huh.
I've been thinking about this for a while because I always look for like the niches. You know, you have to corner your niche because, you know, if we was to do just a podcast on horror movies, you know, we'd just be dumped into a bucket of, you know, the thousands of other horror movie podcasts.
Right.
So I wanted to streamline it and isolate our one niche.
Yeah.
And
you pick something that you were passionate about. I
know horror fans are passionate about as well.
Yep.
There's nothing else like this where we just focus on one specific actor.
Right.
What better way to do it than with the grooviest actor of them all, Bruce Campbell.
Yep.
And I'd kind of pitch it to you guys a couple times. And then Mike, who is the, I guess he's the producer. He'd be our producer.
Yeah.
And editor of the
editor.
show.
Yep. Essentially audio god.
Audio god, yeah. He eventually got us all together to where we was able to discuss it, and we decided, hey, let's just fucking do it. Like,
yeah.
Let's do this podcast. Let's quit talking about it. And let's just fucking go for it. And we did. We fucking went for it.
We did. And here we are.
Here we are. And, you know, like I said, like people always think, oh, podcasting is just you sit in front of a microphone and you start talking.
Right.
And things happen.
That's all there is to it.
So we had attempted prior to starting Cult of Campbell, I'd say for about 2 months before we actually went live in May, I believe.
Yeah. It was Early May.
Yeah, May 7th when we dropped El Jefe, Ash vs. Evil Dead, Season 1, Episode 1.
Yep.
We dropped that as our like beta or our like pilot episode, basically.
Right.
So we dropped that episode on May 7th, but about 2 months prior to that, we were meeting like once a week and recording these beta episodes.
Yep. And we would just play, like we picked non-Campbell movies so that we could still come into the episodes fresh when we started, you know, doing the publishable ones.
Right. We started like doing doing these random movies to work out the format of what we wanted for Cult of Campbell and kind of get our flow down. We did Tremors, where we did the quality of Kevin Bacon.
Mm-hmm.
We did Snakes on a Plane, where we did the quality of Samuel Jackson.
Yep.
I think we did Jurassic. I
want to say Jurassic Park.
First one.
Yeah.
Was that our? It was. I believe that was our first one.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
It was either Tremors or Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it was one of those two, and I remember it being terrible. We just rambled. We had no idea what we was doing.
Right.
We watched the movie.
We had a hard time
listening. Recording, and we just started, rambling and jumping over each other's words and no structure. And,
what did we call it? A chorus of yas? Because somebody would say something and we'd be all like, yeah.
Exactly,
it sounded like the...
That. Which we've gotten better about over time.
Oh, yeah.
It's something I actually I try to consciously look out for on my own. Hey, don't just agree with what everyone's saying just to fill the void.
Right. Like, what are you adding to... What are you adding to the space here? You know what I mean? Because somebody just, you can kind of affirm it, but also they just said it. The listener doesn't need to hear, unless you have something more to add, And
your mentality the whole time is you're trying to fill this void, I guess.
Right. No dead air. Yeah. Is kind of.
As we just, back to each other. But it's something we've become more conscious of. But that was a rough episode. It was a lot of just yeahs and right,
It's pretty hard to listen to. I should have gone back and listened to some of our betas before we did this. I might be glad that I don't.
I would love this year to maybe start sprinkling some out as kind of just
look how far we've come.
Exactly.
As far as.
We're coming up on May. Maybe we'll drop a couple in celebration of our anniversary.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah, I like that.
Make them YouTube exclusives.
I don't
want to muddy up our
actual podcast feeds. Yeah, we don't want to make them that dirty.
So we had the idea. We knew we wanted to podcast. We did these betas and they are pretty rough. I think we kind of got our stride later on though. Before we launched, obviously we got our stride where we was comfortable. We were sure that this was the kind of product we wanted to release. But those first several were pretty bad. I remember we did Snakes on a Plane with you, me, Ian. I remember that one being very good. That was where the first time we recorded a podcast. I actually went back and listened to that very recently. A week or two ago. I had randomly found it on the Google Drive, and I think I was traveling. And I just put it on.
Just popped it on.
Listened to it. And it was actually pretty good. But that was one of the first ones I remember being there, recording, and just really feeling we
can do this. Yeah.
And then to that point as well, I listened. There was one that I wasn't part of that you, Mike, and Urs had recorded. It was Waiting, starring Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
That one is really good. I listened to that one as well. When you guys recorded it, Mike edited it, put it up on the drive for us to all listen to and critique and stuff. And I listened to that one. That was very good. And I guess that would be actually the kind of the ghost episode for Mike, because Mike doesn't come into the cast
until later in the series.
Until Cultober. Yeah, Cultober is when he debuts.
Oh, cool.
I guess that would be his ghost debut. His
kind of first time, his ghost episode. That's pretty cool. And it was, one of the neat things about these ones that you're saying are pretty good is those were one of the later beta episodes that we did, if I remember right.
I believe so, yeah.
Yep. Which is something to the people listening, that's something that I think is kind of important that we did for Cult of Campbell was running those beta episodes. I really don't know how our first couple of published episodes would have turned out if we hadn't done that. Yeah, it would have been kind of a train wreck. That's just
it took some convincing for us, because I just wanted to fucking go into it. I was all right, we're going to do it. In my experience,
you're a pistol
about something, and we get ready for it.
You don't want to tread water.
We don't exactly. We don't want to tread water. If we're going to do it, let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
And Mike was telling us hey, you need to do these betas. You were saying we should do some betas.
I was insistent on the betas, yeah. But that's because I'm kind of I'm the opposite in that regard, because I'm not so much of I'm a bit of a pansy. Not a pistol, but a pansy. So I like to sit back. Now I will and hold on guys, let's talk about this, but if I'm allowed to, I will sit and talk about it forever, because I'm really just scared of moving forward with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'll admit that. But so I think we had a good combination there of like, you're like, hold me back. And me and Mike are like, hold on, you know?
Yeah, 'cause we had the crew. We talked to Mike. I know Urs we talked to later because Mike was pretty much on board initially with doing the editing. He'd said he didn't want to be actually on it because he had too much stuff going on. So we Ben had always wanted to do podcasts.
Ben had always wanted to do podcasts. Yep, he's.
We got Ian on board, and then later on mentioned Urs. Hey, we were doing this podcast, and he joined. As well. So we had like our 5 cast members and Mike as our
audio ghost.
Our audio ghost, yeah.
I'll call him Ghost now since we had a ghost episode.
Yeah. And we did those betas, and then finally we decided we wanted to go into it live. And we picked May. I think we was initially going to do the first. May 7th was supposed to be the debut of the whole thing, if I remember correctly. And then we ran into some issues with the podcast, or no, I don't think May 7th was, but we had intentionally wanted to release it like the first week of May or something, if I remember correctly. Right,
yeah.
And then we ran into an issue with the Buzzsprout was what we use to host our podcast. We ran into some issues where when you're initially uploading a podcast, you have to have a pilot or like a trailer episode, they call it.
Right.
And we weren't aware of that. So that's where El Jefe got kind of.
That's why El Jefe is before what our first episode really is.
Correct.
As far as
initially, the day one drop was going to be Evil Dead 1981, Bubba Hotep, and Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Right. I remember that being a big thing, like getting just I'm about to say, a big dump of episodes out there first.
That was an idea I had because
you were very adamant about that.
It was an idea. Heck, like you find like I think Netflix kind of conditioned us to this, where you find a show you like, and it's no longer the wait next week to the next episode. There's no such thing as cliffhangers anymore.
No, everything's quite bingeable. Like they're released to be binged now. So I thought that was a pretty interesting strategy.
I think the problem lies in like you find something you like. Say we would have dropped Evil Dead 1981, our first episode, people would have liked it. Well, the way our attention span is now, who's to say that, I like that show? Who's to say they're going to remember it come next Monday?
Right.
Until we kind of condition them to. So the idea was, let's drop these 3 episodes. That's what it was, something like 4 hours of content total. So that way you have, that Evil Dead episode was good. There's a Bubba Hotep episode, and there's an Ash vs. Evil Dead. And then we're conditioning to where next Monday rolls around, there's a new episode, and so on and so forth. That was the mindset. We've kept that pretty consistent with our shows now. We did that with Cult of Weird Shit. We dropped a double feature on day one, just to kind of give someone a little something more. Than just one episode.
And helps, because you're right, like who a week later is going to remember, like, it's, whatever that was. It was a neat little, I don't know that anyone else has really done that I've noticed. Not that I was terribly into podcasts before we started doing this.
See, I'm an innovator.
Yeah. You are. You got that innovative spirit.
I don't mean to boast, but I am the smartest man in podcasting. And that's not coming from a place of being boastful.
No, of course not. No, it's just the facts, really.
It's just
you're just kind of
I'm out here building an empire.
Yeah. Capital Bulgaria.
I don't have time to be boastful. Yeah.
Got to think outside of the box to get to Bulgaria.
That's the real star of this season 1, if we want to call it. That's the real star of this season is Bulgaria. We'll talk a lot about Bulgaria.
I'm sure it'll come up. Yes,
I'm sure it'll come up once or twice.
Yes.
So day 1 drop comes. We start our Instagram at Cult Talk Net. We started YouTube at Cult Talk Net. So that was kind of the idea. Initially, we were going to just make a YouTube podcast. That was initially something we had talked about, and like eventually it just came down that we bought all this podcasting equipment. We spent like $600 on our podcasting rig.
Right.
And if we were going to do a podcast, let's fucking do a podcast. If we're going to call ourselves a podcast, we just needed to be a fucking podcast.
Right.
That was kind of where it all came down to. So initially, all this show was going to be was just on YouTube. There was going to be no Buzzsprout. It was just like, oh, that's a financial obligation. But
Right.
as
With the list,
as history will show you, if you want to, you gotta break some eggs to make an omelet. You got to put forth some money. If you believe in a project enough, you need to put forth the money to back it.
Yeah.
And the easy thing with YouTube is like, oh, it's free, it costs us nothing. But if we really believe in this as being something that's viable, we needed to show that and put forth the capital.
Because you do have to kind of spend money to, well, I can't even say that. I was going to say spend money to make money, but we don't. Not yet. But you really do have to invest if you want to put forth something of quality.
Exactly.
And you want to keep working your quality up. Like I kind of, listening back to our first episode compared to our later episodes, you can tell a difference. Even still, even after those betas,
Yeah, I kind of did some cruising on the podcast here this week, where went through and re-listened to some stuff, and just went through and did all that, and there's definitely a difference between our first episode, and then our later ones. I think we're a little more comfortable now. We're more open to expressing ourselves and putting our personalities out, because that's really what sells a podcast. I mean, that's something that the podcast I listen to, a lot of times it's not even really the content that I'm there for. It's just that you're there for the hosts, and you enjoy listening to these people talk and the banter and the interactions. It feels like you're hanging out with friends. That's what I like about some of these. I have favorites. The episodes here, I'll list those out later on, but there's favorite episodes of mine that the movies are terrible, but that's kind of like where we shine, because we all had a lot of fun, and we're all just being like we are before we did the podcast, we would all sit around and watch movies and bullshit anyways.
Yeah, we were kind of already doing that. Yeah.
And that's when it's the most fun, is when you're having fun watching it, and that's why you want your listeners to have fun as well when they're listening to the podcast. If we just come on here and just read from the Alien Apocalypse Wikipedia, that would be fucking boring. But we get on there and we actually,
and anybody could do that. Yeah,
exactly. When we go in there and we interact, we riff, and we give our opinions, and we pick apart the movie, and we have fun with it. That is why you're there to listen, and that's something that I think was the big hurdle in starting a podcast. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. You have to acclimate yourself to this medium. You have to become comfortable with sitting behind a microphone. Like right now, you and I aren't even in the same room. We're not even in the same city. So I can't see you. You can't see me. But we have good enough chemistry to where it still feels like we're just hanging out.
It does. It really does to me feel like we're in the same room. I'm sitting here staring at lines going across the screen.
Picture of me.
But I can see, but I can see you. Well, even better, I can see you in my mind's eye, as though you were sitting across the table from me right now.
I know what you mean, though. It sounds, I know what you mean. Sometimes, because we all we're pretty, familiar with each other. So there's certain things that I'll hear you say or say, and I'm recording remotely with him, whatever, and I can already picture your mannerisms or the expression that you're giving when you do that, and that's something that comes with this medium is.
Oh yeah,
podcasting is a lot more. There's a lot more to it than what people think.
Right.
That's the big thing, and that's something we kind of had to overcome in starting this.
Oh yeah, because there went that train of thought. We'll maybe cut that part out. Oh wait, no, here I got it. Because
okay, you got it.
Yeah,
snagged it out there.
Snatched it, because there's different kinds of podcast listeners is kind of what I've also learned through this. In that, some people really do. They don't care what the subject matter is. They just want to feel like they're part of that conversation with us. You know what I mean?
Right.
But some people get distracted by that. Our podcast obviously wouldn't be for all listeners, because we would probably drive some people crazy. They're like, wait, you were about to tell me what this thing was. Give me the facts. While other people are kind of laughing along with us because we got a little sidetracked with something silly we thought of, know? So it's kind of it goes back to we had to learn how to find who our people were, which I think you always kind of, that's kind of what you do a lot of the time when I am working with you on different projects and stuff. You're like, all right, you and Michael have this find the market kind of mentality,
right?
And kind of mold us to mold our show, I should say, to something that is true to us and the audience.
Exactly, because that's the whole thing. Is this podcast's a niche, and that's something I know Mike has mentioned several times. We want to be the network of niches, our podcast network we've been building is Cult Talk Net. We don't want to have these broad, like I said, a horror movie. That was the main thing.
Right.
talking about podcasts. Like I love talking about horror movies. We all love talking about horror movies.
Yeah, but
we can't just do a podcast.
It's too big of an umbrella.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're really putting yourself in a just like an ocean when you do that, because there's so many podcasts out there that are horror movie podcasts, and there's a lot of big horror movie podcasts out there. So unless we had some way to overtake these established podcasts, there's no reason to I guess handicap ourselves that early in the game.
Right,
So
exactly.
to build our base, maybe eventually someday we'll have the following where, okay, let's do a horror movie podcast, and we have a big enough fan base where they follow us over to it, and we're able to kick things off and just jump with a nice big following, a nice big base right at the beginning. But until then, we've got to build our base.
Right.
And what better way to do that than to find those niches, and it's just let people start peppering in and coming in as they come, and build our following that way. It's a slow process, but we're also building a devoted following. That's something I really like about the fans we do have, the listeners we do have, is they're pretty consistent. Like we have a consistent following. I know generally, around what numbers we're going to make each episode. I know because I check the numbers. I know we have consistent views here. We're going to get this number with this episode, or maybe, and the hope is always to get more, not less.
Of course, to build on it.
I know around where we're going to be getting,
which is that kind of consistency is pretty neat, because we're able to interact with our listeners. Like we have our slow growing base is small enough that we can interact with them when they kind of reach out and stuff like that. And I always thought that was really cool, getting both positive and negative feedback. It's always a learning experience.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I guess we'll go ahead and start talking about the show. We debut finally here on May 7th with El Jefe. Ash vs. Evil Dead episode 1. You and I did that one. It was your introduction into Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Yes.
Prior to this, you had already watched Evil Dead 1981, so you had seen the early iteration of Ash, and then you were kind of getting to see the final iteration of Ash. So that was interesting. Interesting thing for you. And another thing I love about this podcast is something that I don't know if many of our listeners know, and I'm sure you've mentioned it, is you have a very very minimal knowledge of Bruce Campbell prior to this podcast.
Right. And that was kind of my role. Even we knew that about bringing me in, was that Eric really doesn't know much about Bruce. He's probably seen him here and there and knows who he is, but that's about it. Because I was not the Bruce Campbell fanboy of the group. Like that was you. And Ben and Michael and Ian are much more up on those sort of movies than I am. So I was kind of the outlier or control group, maybe.
I would say so. I would say you're definitely the outlier to it, because you didn't really know who Ash Williams was, and that's a big part of being a Bruce fan, is who Ash Williams is. Yeah, that was the cool thing about this, was getting to see your first introduction to these into the Brucedom, and now almost a year later, you've seen the good, you've seen the bad, you've seen a lot of Bruce.
Yes.
In a short amount of time.
In a very short amount of time.
That's the fun thing. There's been only a few episodes here this year, this season, where I've gotten, introduced to new Bruce.
Right.
But every episode is new Bruce to you. And that's the fun part about this, is having you on. You have really good interactions. I always, cherry pick, you'll see it all the time when we're plotting our episodes. I want Eric on this one. I want to make sure Eric's on this one, because I know you're gonna give good reactions, have good things to say about these. These ideas that come in the movie. I do that a lot with you and Ben. I'm always I want to make sure Ben's on this episode.
Oh yeah.
Make sure Eric's on that episode, because I want to make sure we get these. You guys are good at reacting to things. So.
I can almost see you just yes, good. When you, this one will be perfect. A little bit of this and a little bit of that, a little bit of Ben. Ooh, throw Ursa in there too. Yeah, I can see you. Just kind of conniving on who you're going to be putting in these episodes.
It feels like sometimes I'm torturing Ben a lot more than you.
I know.
Because I know you're going to have something interesting to say on things. That's why I want you on it. But then a lot of times I'm I know Ben's going to hate this.
I know. It's you can already start to hear him groaning in his mind.
Raging over...
Raging.
Some idea they've dropped in this episode. Yes. I do that a lot. You do. It's
so good. I remember, wow, there was one of the openings to one of our specials here recently was, I think Michael, Ursa, and Ben. Did you do that on purpose, I wonder? Or was that just who was available? Because that
Michael,
was
Ursa, and Ben.
so
that
funny.
was just who was available. I remember I was
Yep.
supposed to be on that one as well. It was me, Ursa, Ben, and Michael. It was
And
a Christmas movie special.
Yep.
The Christmas movie special where I was supposed to be on that one, but I had to do I'd take some clients like dinner that night, so I couldn't be part of it. So
we just had all sorts of
let those three do it.
Yep.
And then yeah, that was.
It's one of my favorite openings where it's just like, you know, what's he say? It's like, yay! And Ursa goes, boo. And Ben goes, oh my God. And then the Christmas music comes on, and it was just like, oh, that is so true to who we are as a crew right there. It was just such a beautiful moment. Beautiful moment. Anyway.
So like that was we kicked off Ash vs. Evil Dead El Jefe.
Yep.
Was your first introduction to that.
Yes. That was kind of him re-becoming Ash, really. So it was an interesting start.
But before that, you had gotten to see probably a more controversial episode, in my opinion. I mean, controversial in like a sense of our tens of fans, but like, controversial amongst like us as a group, because I don't think anyone saw it coming. To where it was Ash vs. Evil Dead, episode 1.
Oh, yep.
Wait, episode no, it was Evil Dead 1981. Yep. The very first episode of Cult of Campbell. The definitive Bruce Campbell movie.
Yes.
And it gets a not groovy. The 1981 Evil Dead, a classic amongst horror fans. We gave
a not groovy.
One of the most influential horror movies of all time, in my opinion.
And I've been wanting to talk about this episode. I was shocked myself. Very shocked.
Over the movie?
Over the rating by us. I was like, oh, but we're supposed to be the Cult of Campbell, and we're giving it a not groovy. But it set the precedent very early on about how honest we were going to be about these movies.
It did.
Yeah. And his performance.
I remember there's a part in that episode where we go to the ratings, and I initially give it a groovy. Yeah, it's like a reluctant groovy.
It is. It was a very reluctant groovy. You even said it's not the grooviest.
Exactly. Because I was like, well, shit. I started this podcast. I'm supposed to be like the Bruce Campbell fanboy. And here I am watching the quintessential Bruce Campbell movie, and I did not enjoy his performance at all in it.
Yep.
And I was like, I cannot give this a not groovy.
The pressure was on. It was an early test for us.
It felt like there was pressure on me. Then Ben says not groovy, and I was like, all right, fuck it. Okay, now I'm not the first person to give it not groovy. I felt more comfortable. So I took my vote back. I gave it a not groovy. And I still hold to it. The movie is great. The movie is one of the most iconic, most influential horror films of all time. And you see, if you watch Evil Dead 1981, you'll think, wow, this movie is so cliched. But it's not. It's that all the shit in that movie are now cliches in horror movies. All these horror movies that followed it. Yeah, set the precedent and took these things from this movie. It's so influential. We stress a lot in the Cult of Campbell that we're not reviewing the movies.
Right.
I think we've only done one. When we do our specials, our holiday specials, we review the movie.
Then then it's the movie as a whole.
As Cult of Campbell goes, we only reviewed one movie, and that was Evil Dead 2013. We reviewed that's right, the movie itself, because Bruce produced that when it was actually in it. So we decided to review the movie as a whole. But we stress, we're not reviewing the movie, we're reviewing the quality of Campbell. And I think most people, if they're able to step back and kind of be honest with themselves, would agree it's not the grooviest Bruce. And especially if you watch the other films and you see where this character, the charisma and the machismo and just the cartoonish badassery that he develops over the next few films, I think you would have to be honest with yourself and say, oh, that's not the grooviest Bruce. Yeah.
And so I have something to admit, and this is hard for me because I hate being wrong, Ty. I fucking hate being wrong. But I did this episode made me kind of rethink Bruce. I was thinking back on the journey as a whole, and I was kind of like, you know what? If I were honest with myself and I had seen more Bruce Campbell movies before I had seen The Evil Dead, I probably would have also given it a not groovy. I'll say that. I will say that now. After 7 months, a year, 37 episodes. I probably wouldn't have given it a groovy.
But we're not going to take back our rating.
I'm not taking it back. I just think
but
knowing what I know now.
Where coming from, though. Yeah,
I do. I get it more and more. I understand because again, great movie, fantastic movie. But
when it comes to that character and where we eventually see him, grow into, it's definitely lackluster,
right?
Compared to what we eventually get from this character. But yeah, we have that Bruce movie there that we kind of gave a not groovy to, and then this was the funner part of the whole series. Is I got to give you guys the gift of Bubba Hotep.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Now this is one of my favorite, not only my favorite Bruce movie, this is just one of my favorite movies just in general. This is a great movie. And I had been I think I'd mentioned it to you before. I'd probably mentioned it several times offhand because I talk about this movie quite a bit. It's hard to convince people to watch it because it's like, hey, do you want to watch this Bruce Campbell as Elvis versus a mummy movie? And most people are like, no, I'm not going to watch Elvis fight a mummy in a retirement home.
Yep.
And you have to like kind of convince people to watch it. But I have never shown this movie to anyone who afterward wasn't like, okay, that was pretty fucking good. Like,
right.
Because it is a solid flick. And it is Bruce like on his A game.
Yep.
He's being cheesy, but it's so sincere and like you really there's so much heart behind it.
Yeah.
I guess is like the main thing. Like
there is a lot of heart.
He's playing Elvis, and there's so many like allegories about just how we treat the elderly, and what we leave behind in the end, our legacies and things like that. I mean, there's so much deep shit to this movie.
Yeah,
that's
a very
Elvis
contemplative
mummy
movie
in a retirement home.
Yeah,
it's insane. It's just. And
the premise, you're right. Like the slug line does not sell what this movie is for real. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because it is such a hard movie to see. Because every time you brought it up, I was kind of like, okay, yeah. Like I kept forgetting that it was Elvis versus a mummy because every time you kind of like told me like that's what it's about, it's kind of like I feel like I've already seen what that movie is now. Like just hearing that premise, I'm like, okay, Elvis fights a mummy. I can picture that in my head. Moving on, but that is not what it is. Not what it is at all. It was really exploring like themes, like you said, about like how we treat the elderly, what it is to become elderly, perhaps. Everything about it was just really solid from its writing and its direction and the fact that they didn't do a sequel. Like that actually helped this movie be so
I have zero
good.
interest in seeing a sequel.
No, it doesn't need one. That was a complete
for a long
story.
time. There's been like a prequel lingering around for a while, and it even ends with at the very end of the credits it says like Elvis will return and Elvis versus the she vampire or something like that. It has like a thing like at the very end, like the very end of the credits it drops.
Okay, interesting.
Thing. But that's also I think kind of like a nod to the kind of movie it is because it's meant to be like one of those drive-in kind of movies. And I know a lot of movies would end that way. Those like old monster movies. I mean, like Frankenstein, or Dracula. It oftentimes end with Dracula will return and Dracula versus the Mummy or whatever.
Yeah,
I think that was kind of like more of a tip of the hat to that
kind of ending kind of to the credits or whatever. Yeah.
Rather than it actually being like, hey, there's a sequel coming. Because I know there's been like a prequel lingering around for a long time where it was going to be Elvis making a movie and there's vampires start killing the crew and he has to fight them. And I know like Bruce had already said he's not returning to it. Like,
good on him.
I've seen many interviews of people asking about a sequel, and he's like, not everything needs a sequel. Like,
and he's right.
We don't need sequels. You don't need reboots to everything. Sometimes a movie's good enough just to let it be, and that's so true. There's so many movies that I've seen like, do sequels and just fucking ruin it. I mean, like the goddamn Matrix movies. I mean, fuck, that first one was perfect.
It was. If they had never made another Matrix movie, it would still be a big deal to this day. Yeah. Iconic.
I mean, there's so many movies like that were just great. They should just let them be, but people get greedy and just,
could you imagine
shit their own bed.
Could you imagine if they had only made one Pirates of the Caribbean movie? The first one? How cool would that franchise be if that was like all that was? Like that would be an iconic movie. Like, man, you could almost call it like the the most perfect modern pirate movie, really.
For sure.
But now it's
for
a
sure.
fucking joke. It's a joke.
Yeah, it's a mess. I've only seen, I think, I know I've seen the first 3.
Yeah. And that's more than what's worth watching.
Yeah, then I have no idea what happens after that. I know
Me
there's
neither.
like 2 other sequels right after that.
They kept going. Yeah. I've seen enough and heard enough to know that they're just, man, they beat the dead horse and they're dragged it to water, and you can't make a dead horse drink water. That's how bad that metaphor has to be to kind of give an inkling to what happened to that franchise. Right. But anyway.
I know eventually they start like bringing back villains as heroes.
Know.
Because they want to make that money. It becomes such a cash grab at that point where it's like
so obviously.
Man, people really like Barbosa.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's
shit, we
just
killed him off.
Bring him,
we're going to bring him back this time as a hero so we make more money.
Yeah. Yep. And I loved his character. They were right, God damn it. And that's the problem. Like, it should have just been that first movie. Then that would have been our source for Barbosa. Anyway, yeah, I digress big time. There's just a lot of those.
I totally get
Bruce
that.
is right.
Not everything needs a sequel.
It
and everything
doesn't.
needs a reboot.
Bruce is
I'm
right.
sure there's movies that are probably planned in advance. Like, hey, this is going to be a sequel. Or this is going to be a franchise.
Oh, yeah.
I get that.
Of course.
But
and if
Bubba
you know that in
Hotep
advance, you can write it well enough, to make that work.
Exactly.
But yeah, Bubba Hotep.
Or, I don't know. There's a bad thing now going on in Hollywood right now. That bugs, that drives me up the fucking wall, is these like filler movies. Like,
okay,
have you seen that? Have you seen Jurassic Park: Fallen Kingdom?
No.
Fucking awful. Because they already know they're gonna have a trilogy, right? They know it's like Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, then
so they're
Jurassic World. Whatever this next one is, and that Fallen Kingdom movie was fucking awful because there's nothing in it. It's just, they need to
getting
get the
you from point A to point B.
The island.
Yeah,
they need to get the dinosaurs off the island to the mainland so they can set their third movie. And it felt like it was just a filler movie. And I've seen that. There's another movie I watched recently that was, you could tell it was like they just wanted to make a trilogy.
Yeah.
So they need to have, they know where they want to begin, they know where they want to end. So they just lifelessly throw together this, string of a movie.
They're like, okay, here's number 2. Yeah.
Basically.
Right.
Because Fallen Kingdom was awful. I've never left a movie just feeling so just like, blood. Like I watched it, I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, it wasn't even a movie. It didn't have a structure. Literally only had one purpose, was to get these dinosaurs off the island
so that they were part of the world.
And that was it. Yeah. And it ends like just to accept their third movie, and that is fucking it.
That's what's driving me nuts is like, okay, you want to write a trilogy. This is fine. How about you have the trilogy like planned out though? Like, it's kind of the opposite problem. Like give them character arcs. Know where they're going to end up by the third movie. It's not, you shouldn't just be thinking, okay, I want dinosaurs in the world, off the island by the end of the movie or whatever, like know where you're going to take your characters too. Cause you can tell that they don't. I don't think they write these scripts ahead of time as one cohesive story first.
They don't.
And that's a problem. And that's why they're so fucking bad these days. They need to write them as one story if you're going to do a trilogy. That's one story. You've broken it up for a reason. And it's not just because 3 is a cool number, It's because that's what your story needs. Yeah.
Well, for a long time, I'm so glad they got away from the quadrilogies. Remember when that was a thing, like a few years back, the quadrilogies?
Like
where they would take like, it was obviously a trilogy, but then
and they'd break up
the third movie into 2 parts. Oh, I fucking hate it.
Yeah, that was
remember when they did
stupid.
The fucking Hobbit? Like,
they did it to
turn that into 4 fucking movies.
Ew. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. You take the smallest book in the series.
Yeah, and break it into 4
I knew
the minute
movies.
I knew the minute that they announced it was going to be more than one movie.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, there's going to,
I bet you go online. I bet you go online and find a cut of that movie to where it's, I bet someone's done. I've seen people do this for.
They would be my hero.
Movies. I bet you can go in there and find a 2.5 hour cut of that movie, and it's perfect.
I'll bet you're right. Yeah. And that person is my hero, and I want to find it. Oh,
I'm sure you can find it very easy. I'm sure if you look it up, you'll find it pretty easy, I bet.
Yeah.
So that was Bubba Hotep, and I was so happy you guys enjoyed that, because I was nervous, because like I hold that movie.
I can see why.
Regard.
Yeah.
I was like, I hold this movie in such high regard. Like, it's one of those movies like eventually I'll have tattooed on me at some point. Like I'll eventually get that. I've got Jaws on me right now. I've got Clerks on me.
Will you get the hieroglyphics?
That would be, I've always thought about the all is well at the end.
Aww.
Tattooed on me.
Yeah.
But like eventually I'll get, because I've got Jaws, I've got Clerks. Eventually it'll be like Army of Darkness and Bubba Hotep will be on me at some point. Or Dark Knight. Dark Knight's on there too. So I got Dark Knight, Jaws, and Clerks.
I think it's probably my favorite Bruce movie that we've watched.
I was so nervous, like, I hold this movie high regards. I was like, what do I do? Because it was Ben on the episode. That was a nervous movie.
Yeah. It's like, what if he doesn't?
Ben is the one that always has strong opinions on.
If he doesn't like it, he'll tear it apart. Yep. And he
has unfavorable opinions on a lot of things that people have very favorable opinions on. So I was like, oh man, he's gonna hate this show. And I was so happy to end. Like you, Ian, Ben, you guys loved it. You talked highly of it. I was so happy. I was so happy.
It was our first certified groovy, wasn't it?
It was. That was the very first
certified groovy. Groovies across the board. And
speaking of certified groovy, our next episode, not so much. but this is my favorite episode that we've done. This is my favorite. This is my favorite Cult of Campbell.
Okay.
And it's episode 4, and that is Maniac Cop.
Oh my God.
1988.
Oh my God.
On this episode, we had myself, you, Urs, and Ian. And it was all 4 of our first times watching this movie.
Yep. Oh yeah. Nobody had seen that one before.
No.
Yeah.
I owned these movies for literally like probably a decade.
And
I'd bought the trilogy DVD set like one time on like, I think it was like Cyber Monday or something, I bought them on sale for like dirt cheap. Like, and I picked it up because they had Bruce Campbell and because I'm a big fan of like 1980s New York movies. Like that gritty, like, I don't know, gritty, wet, like
smoky look. Like the fire. The sewers are always kind of smoking.
Yeah.
Have that mist coming up out of them.
Love that. Like that I can be convinced to watch a movie pretty easily just based off of being set in 1980s New York. Like, that's how a lot of the movies I've like grown to love. I watched basically Chud. You guys have never seen Chud.
Nope.
But Chud is like one of my favorite bad movies of all time. I watched that solely because of the poster had like the smoking sewer with the skyline of New York, the 1980s New York skyline. That's the only reason I watched that movie the first time.
Yeah.
And it became one of my favorite, just guilty pleasure bad movies. And that's the reason I bought this set, is because I knew it was one of these gritty 1980s New York movies.
Yep.
And owned them for a decade. We finally decided that when we was plotting out the first string of episodes, it was something accessible to us. I was like, hey, let's do this Maniac Cop. And on top of that, we're going to do a little bonus tidbit at the end where we'll review the first 15 minutes or so of the second movie where he dies.
Yeah.
Which is a big mistake on our part. Because I should watch the whole second one.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You have advocated that. I don't buy it. I don't think anybody else believes that, Ty. Just for the listeners, he really
find out.
Oh no!
It's a Campbell movie. We could do a full
episode on Maniac Cop 2.
We could.
Oh no! Ever since Menno's Mind, there has been a precedent for cutting the movie off if he's not in it beyond a certain point.
This episode set the precedent for that.
Oh, I guess you're right. Yep, I guess you're right.
Yeah,
it really
this episode did set the precedent for that. So thank you to Maniac Cop 2.
Yeah,
for giving us that ability to do that with Menno's Mind.
That's true. You're
welcome.
Yes, you're welcome.
This episode is my favorite episodes because the movie is so bad.
Oh yeah.
But we had such a fucking fun time watching it.
We did.
And when we reviewed it, we were all just lively, full of energy. We were maybe a little delirious from having sat through it. And we
in shock.
Yeah, cause I remember this was a late one, because I remember we watched, we met at probably like 7. We started recording. We watched the whole first movie, which was like an hour and a half. Then on top of that, we had to watch like a half hour of the second movie. And you and Urs and Ian have your breaks you have to take in the middle of the episodes. Or, middle recording.
Just taking up time.
This was a late one. I remember this is a late recording session, so we were probably a little delirious. And one of the things we kept doing was we kept doing New York accents.
Oh my God, that's right.
But no one in there has these thick New York accents.
Nobody does. Like they talk pretty just.
Yeah,
there's no heavy accent to these guys. Not really.
Mid-East accents.
Right.
We gave them all New York accents. We reviewed it. This is one of the episodes where we set the bit where we give nicknames to people we can't remember the names of. We had Hooker Cop.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Limping Lady, all kinds. We had just these nicknames we gave the people we couldn't remember names for. And this episode is so fun. I listened to this just before this because I was going to just making sure I had my ratings in a down of who did what.
Yeah.
And I just ended up listening to the whole episode. I was like, okay, because I really do enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun one. It's so fucking fun.
I need to go back and listen to that one because you're right. I always kind of look at it like, oh, it was such a bad movie, but I have to. It's not about the movie. It's about the episode that we did.
Yes.
I need to listen to it again because I do remember that being just a blast, absolutely ripping it apart. Like if we were to release any of our watch-alongs, like I think that would be a good watch-along to actually release. Because that was, if I remember correctly, that was a pretty fun watch. Because we used to record ourselves for the listeners. Yeah, we used to record ourselves watching the movies. But
I'd say we probably have like 8 of those banked. We should start doing like maybe.
Oh, we have a bunch. Yeah,
we'll drop a
maybe
once a month we can do like a watch along special on YouTube.
Or if there's just like a little scene from the movie that we react, just have a pretty strong reaction to. Yeah, just little snippets.
To the video.
Yeah, we'll just tease them. We don't have to give them, full bore episodes. Screw them. We'll just tease them.
You're getting pretty handy with Adobe.
Yeah. Ooh, maybe I could do some editing on that. Do a little practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
don't expect gold people, but anyway.
That was our first overall not groovy. So we only have 3 ratings. There are only three ways these can go.
Right. Groovy.
We have groovy, which is a majority groovy rating.
Right.
It has to be just the majority of the cast on this episode had to be groovy.
Right.
It can be a 3-1 or 2-1, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Then we have groovy or certified groovy.
Certified
which is
groovy.
a unanimous
groovy.
Everyone has to, the whole cast, no matter how big the cast, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many we've had.
However many it is.
Whoever's on the episode, the majority give it a groovy, or it's a unanimous groovy that earns it a certified groovy seal. And then we have just not groovy. Not groovy is unanimous or majority. Not groovy, it just gets not groovy. We don't have like a deep cut not groovy. You don't have a certified not groovy or a
right. It's just not groovy. We don't want to be.
And I'm even like, there's a couple episodes we have where we have like these ties, and I'm gonna say like those would probably. I think that would probably lean more into the groovy range. I feel like if it's a tie, if we had to give it one of those.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have to be like a groove. It have to be just kind of like a default groovy.
Default groovy. Maybe that's what we'll call the ties. Default groovies.
Default groovy, yeah.
Groovy by default.
But this was the first episode we did where it got a unanimous not groovy amongst all 4 of us. But goddamn, was it a fun episode.
Yeah, it was.
Then we come up to another thing that I had watched this before, but I didn't remember any of it. So May 31st, we released X-Files Terms of Endearment.
Oh, yeah.
From 1990. This is an episode of X-Files where Bruce Campbell guest starred, and this was myself, you, and Ben. And this was phenomenal because we got to see a side of Bruce I had not expected to see.
Right.
And I'm pretty certain I watched this episode because I binge watched X-Files all the way through like many a times. I can't think of any episodes I don't think I've watched, but then I wouldn't know if I didn't watch them because I hadn't watched them. So that's a stupid thing to say.
Right. But I understand.
I had binge watched the series, and I know during pandemic, the first round of pandemic, like when I was stuck at home, I binge watched X-Files and Seinfeld. That was my 2 things. To go over this, like we got to see like serious dramatic Bruce, and we were not expecting that.
Right. No, I don't think any of us were. It impressed Ben to no end, really. That was something that surprised me. Yeah. I mean, and I was too, of course, but it was just like that was kind of where that was our movie, our episode, I think, where it's like, oh yeah, he's also got the range, baby, and we'll give a groovy to a range there too, to that kind of dynamic to his acting. It was cool.
Oh, it was great. We got to see like him just like really show some emotion, and it was awesome. And for me, it was a treat to see Bruce Campbell and David Duchovny. It's like that's like Fox Mulder is one of my favorite characters of all time.
Kind of playing off each other.
Yeah, that was awesome. And the episode had so many twists and turns. You think you know what's going on, then it's revealed it's not what you think was. such a good episode, such a good hour of TV.
Yeah.
And it was just phenomenal. And that episode actually got a certified groovy. That was our second certified groovy.
Certified groovy.
Then we had on June 14th, another controversial episode.
Dun, dun, dun.
June 14th, we released Alien Apocalypse 2005.
Alien Apocalypse.
With myself, you, Urs, and Ian. Now, our first main episode on the Cult of Campbell, which if you're looking at the way we chronologically, how we catalog the episode.
Catalog. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah.
You have your Ash vs. Evil Deads, but then you have, and those are kind of our off week episodes, I would say.
Yeah.
But you have our main episodes. The way we look at them are the movies and the TV shows that he's been in, that he guest stars in, he stars, all that stuff.
Yes.
Those are the main episodes. Our first main episode of the show was Evil Dead 1981, which by majority rule earned itself a not groovy rating.
Yeah.
Here we have Alien Apocalypse 2005, straight to Sci-Fi channel. Low
Forgettable,
budget film, filmed in Bulgaria.
low budget.
You only know if you're a deep Bruce fan.
Yeah.
This
Just a
earned
sci-fi
itself,
fucking movie.
by unanimous rule, certified groovy. Evil Dead 1981, not
groovy.
Alien Apocalypse 2005. Certified groovy. The highest rating you can get from Cult of Campbell.
Oh my God. It's like, we're going to get burned at the stake for this. Is this blasphemy? Is this heresy?
It felt like blasphemy.
It did.
Hear me out. Though. I mean, you have to watch this movie. Like,
you do.
It's one of those movies. It's right now they added it on Amazon Prime for free. So if you guys want to watch it, it's on Amazon Prime for free.
Free to watch.
For free.
Oh, that was generous.
I had to pay, I think, $7 for the DVD I had. But I wish I would have watched on Prime because that DVD is terrible.
Yeah.
That I hated any time we had to go to that DVD. Because there was 3 movies on it. We watched all 3 of them. But I hated every time we had to watch a movie on that DVD. Because it's all 3 movies, hour and a half long movies, compressed on the one DVD, and the quality is the shits.
Not great.
So we watched Alien Apocalypse, and this is another one of those episodes I just fucking love because we had so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, I remember this being one of my favorite.
You almost died during the
record.
watch along when they shoot the missiles and kill all the prisoners.
Oh my God!
You had to get your inhaler.
I did. I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard.
That's another watch along we need to release.
And that scene too, like, I'll bite the bullet. I have some pretty strong reactions sometimes. They are funny, whatever. That's great.
I love your reaction. That's why I'm like always like, oh, this episode's coming up. Eric, you need to be on it.
Because you want that.
I know there's going to be certain points in the movie where your mind is going to explode.
Yes.
So
sometimes there
Apocalypse.
Yep.
Overall, this movie is a shitty, just generic piece of shit.
Not
Bruce
great.
is on his fucking A game. And
yeah.
Like, he is, for whatever reason, I guess because he had a hand in the making of it.
Really?
He is in this. They filmed this, I believe, back to back with Man Screaming Brain. And that was like part of the deal with Sci-Fi, is they were like, I think they gave Sci-Fi an Apocalypse to make Man with the Screaming Brain. Because Man with the Screaming Brain is like a project Bruce has been trying to like do since like the 80s.
Yeah, he had been at it for almost like 2 decades trying to get that made, right?
There's a great video you can find on YouTube. It's like 45 minutes, him at a convention with like a whiteboard, and he's like going through like the whole, when the project was conceived, everything that went into it,
the timeline.
This studio picked it up, they gave him this budget, it fell through, the project lingered for this amount of years. He talked to this guy. It's crazy.
I'll have to watch that. I want to see that.
You gotta check it out. It's on YouTube.
Okay, that'll be really interesting. Yeah.
So I believe what they did was Alien Apocalypse, their like bargain chip, like, hey, we'll give you 2 movies for because both these movies are like they premiered on Sci-Fi, and I think it was like, we'll do Alien Apocalypse, this like sci-fi alien Planet of the Apes type sci-fi adventure movie, if you will give us the funding to make this Man with Screaming Brain.
Right.
I believe that was the story there, why they did both these. And I know they were filmed back to back.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense. I've heard it feels like that.
That's why it got stuck in why Man with Screaming Brain takes place in Bulgaria too, is because like, you're here, you're going to film it here.
You're already here, yeah. It's cheap. We've
Because
already had trouble financing it. Yeah.
Yeah, because the original, what I've read about Man with the Screaming Brain, originally is supposed to take place in like I think like golden era Hollywood. Is where it originally just take place.
That makes sense.
It would have that noir thing to it, like that noir Hollywood,
right?
Vibe to it.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, that was the original
kind of idea. Yeah.
So that movie would have been bottom of the barrel, which it's still considered bottom of the barrel, but like it would have been so much worse had it not had Bruce. But Bruce really just fucking gave it his all in that movie, and it sells it. Like every time he's on screen, it's vintage Bruce.
Yeah.
It's cool one-liner, cockeyed, big chin.
Yep.
Fucking Bruce just
hero
chewing scenery.
He is. And always on point. Like in a very like it kind of you could have almost put Ash Williams in that movie. Oh, and it wouldn't have made much.
The poster for
difference.
That is very, if you ever look at the poster for Alien Apocalypse, it's very reminiscent of Army of Darkness's poster.
Okay.
It's like
that makes sense.
Like almost like a carbon copy of him and like the big power stands, with the woman at his
at his feet
hip,
cowering or something.
Ripped.
Yeah.
That's pretty much like the exact same thing they do with that. But we gave that a unanimous groovy, earning it the coveted certified groovy. Maybe even sullying the certified groovy.
What it is to be certified groovy. I even called it sullified because we put that trash on our top tier. Because it is just an awful movie.
It's one of those movies where you guys can say, hey, just here's out. Like, watch it and tell us you do not have a fucking blast watching it on the screen.
Right. Like, Bruce is amazing in that
following
movie.
that, we have our first special. Our first special episode. This was our 4th of July Cult of Campbell special.
Oh, yeah.
And we did Burn Notice, The Fall of Sam Axe.
Yes.
None of us had any prior knowledge of Sam Axe. I believe Ian did. So this was myself, you, Ian, and Urs.
Yep. And I think Ian was the only one who really knew anything about the show beforehand.
Right.
Yeah.
And we are going to return to Sam Axe at some point in Burn Notice because Mike is a very big Burn Notice fan. So
there we go.
He has suggested that maybe we'll do like a top 5 episodes or something like that. We'll do a little more.
Make sure that we touch on that part of his career for sure, because that was a very big part of Bruce's career and a very successful one. Yep. So we'll be sure to get that. Yeah. That
cool. Was probably, in my opinion, probably one of his biggest mainstream runs. I feel like for him to be on a major network, a major TV series that was doing record numbers and just big events and shit that was, and he was not just a bit role. He was
he was a lead character. Yeah, he was a lead in that show in a big way, and got his own fucking movie out of it.
Yeah, got his own movie, his own little low budget action TV movie, and it was a pretty fun ride.
Yeah.
I enjoyed they had some little Ash Evil Dead kind of things sprinkled in it.
Yeah.
There was we noticed later when we watched the Army of Darkness, there's the scene where he's training the rebel army is the exact same scene from Army of Darkness they put in there.
That's right.
That. I mean, it's cool. He picks up a chainsaw at one time and is groovy and to a tree.
Yeah.
Shit.
They were definitely allowing him to nod
into Bruce.
Yeah.
They were playing to the Bruce fandom in that.
Yeah, and they sure did deliver. If I had to bet if I remember correct, that got a certified groovy from us. Is that correct?
Groovy.
Yep,
yeah, the 4th of July special, Burn Notice, Fall of Sam Axe, earned a certified groovy.
Oh yeah,
making it the fourth. Yeah, we were banging out. We were just handing out certified groovies left and right. That kind of we kind of shot ourselves in the foot because we had this really nice long run of man, these are some good movies.
Good Bruce movies, yeah.
And then we got this dark cloud over us, and we got introduced to some very bad films.
Just the soul wrenching kind of bad, not the good kind of bad.
Yeah. And one thing I always wondered, this is me being thinking is the Sam Axe character, the name Sam Axe.
Mm-hmm.
Is it I have yet to find anything about it, but I wonder if that whole name, I wonder if they had Bruce in mind, and that whole name is an Evil Dead nod because Sam Raimi,
yep,
and Axe in the first Evil Dead, Bruce is Ash doesn't use a chainsaw. He uses an axe the whole time.
Yeah.
All the promotional stuff is him with the axe. He uses the axe for everything. I just wonder if it's like a little like
if it's a nod.
Evil Dead 1981 like nod to Sam Raimi, just Sam Axe. I don't know. That's just
I could
a little
see
little
that.
thing I had, little theory I've had. And I can't find anything directly saying it is or it isn't. So
Okay. Do you know if he was he cast before it was written? Like, did they?
I don't know if he was or not.
Because sometimes that happens where they're like, okay, now we've got to deal with so and so, so let's like they just kind of work off of a premise until they get the ball rolling. I don't know how that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So now
Interesting.
July 12th, we take a trip back to Bulgaria because it is Man with the Screaming Brain.
That's right.
Starring, featuring myself, you, and Ben. And I'm so glad Ben was on this one because I know how much he hated being on it.
I know. Thank you, Ben. Very grateful to you.
This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is our first Ted Raimi movie.
This it?
No,
Yes.
Well, technically second.
Right.
He's like featured in Evil Dead 1981. He's like they call him like Fake Shimp or something like that.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
He's something in Evil Dead 1981. So this is technically our second Ted Raimi, but this is our first like on screen, front and center Ted Raimi introduction.
Right. Yes.
And we get that and Man with Screaming Brain, where we get to see him play Pavlov.
That's right.
Where he gets to do a very bad Russian accent and actually rap for us at one point. And
for longer than he needed to.
Yeah. He's in there.
Yes, he is.
This movie
that was Ted in your face.
I never watched before. Yeah, this was something that all three of us our very first introduction to.
Mm-hmm.
I owned that DVD triple feature. And the only reason I owned that triple feature was because at one point years ago, myself, Urs, and our friend Connors, and our friend Butters, we had a YouTube show called Not a Cult Films where we would do like horror movie reviews.
Yeah.
And Cult of Campbell actually came from that. We was like, kind of like going to do like a summer where we just did nothing but nothing but Bruce Campbell movies. That was like kind of one of our events we had in mind. It was like nothing but Bruce Campbell, and we was gonna call it the summer of Cult of Campbell or something like that. So I had kind of like that's where I kind of acquired like this triple feature, and I had put this triple feature in a couple of times to watch My Name Is Bruce because I really enjoy that movie. And when you put on the DVD, it just shows you like there's like clips of like the other two movies it plays, and like one of the clip it would always come up for Man with the Screaming Brain is that clip of Ted Raimi rapping. And I just knew, like, I don't want to watch that. Like, I just knew, like, I'm not going to watch that.
Like, no.
And I would just, cruise right past it and watch My Name Is Bruce. But this we got to watch with Ben and you, and it was awful. To say the least.
It was so bad.
This is the quintessential Bruce movie. Is the thing.
That had Bruce top to bottom in it.
Yeah, this is written, directed, starring Bruce Campbell. Like this is the most Bruce movie we've yet to look at.
Right.
Because it's all Bruce. He
had his hands in every part of it.
Every part of it. And he got a little overwhelmed, I believe. Or there's some interesting stuff about this movie. And we're going to actually kind of return to this movie here in 2022. With the comic. We have the graphic novel. We have the graphic novel for Man with the Screaming Brain. Which, in reading it, it's kind of like Bruce acknowledges like that is the true.
That's the real story he wanted to tell.
That's the director's cut, he calls it. The director's cut is this graphic novel.
There we go.
Where he has no budgetary restraints and, what he wanted can actually take place on the page of this comic.
All the red tape and shit that he ran into that kept him from making the movie he wanted to. Yeah.
And I would love just looking at that movie just in general because it's such an interesting thing that he held on to for that long. Like,
right.
And it had to be kind of a bummer to hang on to it for so long, really fight for this movie, and then to finally get it, but then have so many limitations put on you to actually make the product you want. But he fought through and he got it. He got the movie, but I think even he'll say it's not. Yeah. Well, he acknowledges in that graphic novel that it's not, didn't turn out the way he'd wanted. But there's still a lot of Campbellites out there that hold this movie in way higher regard than they should. I feel like. I think maybe it's a lot of like that just blind Bruce.
Bruce love.
Blind Bruce love because it's hard to hate on a movie of someone you love,
Right.
especially when they have so much involvement in it.
And when you know for sure, when you know that they, thought for this movie, like he didn't spend that much time on it without putting in like just an absolute shitload of headache. He had to have. So it would be, it's hard. I was hoping I was going to love it for that very reason. It's like, oh, he really wanted to make this. But at the end of the day, we did kind of commit ourselves to being honest about these movies from our perspective. And it just wasn't the best Bruce we'd seen, unfortunately.
No,
that was a
hard thing.
That was a hard episode for me.
this whole show's been kind of difficult for me just because, like, initially, I had like thought, like, coming into this before we started recording and everything, I was like, man, like, this is gonna be hard for me because, like, I know I'm going to get like pegged down as like, this Bruce fanboy.
The Bruce groupie.
There's no way I'm going to watch a movie with Bruce Campbell and not think it's amazing. Like,
right. Yes.
Because up to that point, I just had my introduction to Bruce being the Evil Deads, the things I wanted to watch. Like,
right.
I would find and watch. And, with the show, we're kind of having to, dig a little deeper and pulling out movies like Moontrap and Tornado.
Oh my God. I was just thinking about Moontrap. Fuck.
Yeah. We're having to pull out these movies that, we may have like, I wouldn't seek out just to watch, but we watch them for the sake of the show. Yeah. So that's why, like, I was very concerned going to this. Like, man, like, I'm going to it's going to be so bland listening to me. Just,
right. You're just going to be a broken record. Yeah.
And, of course, groovy is always, but luckily we're able to be honest. And that's the main thing. I know Ben mentions it several times throughout the show.
Yeah.
Where, if all of it's good, none of it's good. There has to be,
right.
There has to be outliers. There has to be things that are better than others. Because that's the only way that's the only way you can be good if there's bad.
Right.
It has to be that. And this was definitely the bad, if we had to put it. Like, this one, like, Alien Apocalypse is bad, but I can watch Alien Apocalypse again. I won't, do it out of nowhere, but if Alien Apocalypse finds its way onto my TV screen, I'm not going to hate it. I'm going to, like, glance up when I want to and play on my phone, but I'll be content.
And especially if you're watching it with friends. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I think Urs mentioned it in that movie too, in Alien Apocalypse, that it was a social movie.
Yes,
it's a movie meant to be enjoyed with friends, and that's very true. So I had watched that movie a couple times prior and not enjoyed it.
Weren't really feeling it. Yeah,
but watching with you guys, I had a blast. And that's why it earned a certified groovy, because it is a social movie.
Yes,
this is just a bad movie top to bottom. Like, it's like.
Yeah,
it's incoherent. It's just the whole aesthetic of the movie's bad too. It's just this muddy, gray, disgusting movie.
Yeah, with strange restaurants that just look like they're set up on dirt floors. Like, I don't know. It's just
salad bars are just like literally plates of lettuce.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they were just card tables. They just set up card tables.
It was bad.
Oh man, yeah, but.
Yeah, that was bad. And that earned itself a not groovy.
That was a not groovy. Yeah.
And then we move on to our first double feature.
Ooh.
Why we decided to do a double feature, I'm not sure. We probably could have saved ourselves some headache and released them separately and banked some content, but we decided for whatever reason we wanted to release these double feature. So on July 26th, we dropped Hercules, the King of Thieves.
Oh, yeah.
Along with Xena, Royal Couple of Thieves.
Yep.
Now, what makes these episodes special is Hercules, King of Thieves is the introduction of Bruce to the Hercules universe.
Yep.
And Xena, Royal Couple of Thieves is Bruce's introduction to the Xena universe.
Yes.
As Autolycus, the King of Thieves.
The King of Thieves.
And these are fantastic.
Yes.
Great. Like, just such time capsules of, like, that 90s, TV, like, where it was all just like
over
really
the
low
top
budget and fun.
Yeah, low budget, over the top, very fun. Like, even when it was very serious, they had like bloody battles and stuff like that, but it was also like silly at the same time.
Like, oh, we're having this big epic battle, and it's like 10 people in a field.
Yeah,
shot really tight. That's like this big epic battle, and you're aware of it, but the characters are playing it where you're having at least fun.
Yeah.
These are that's kind of the thing I like about X-Files too. It's like, I just love 90s TV. There's such a different like feel about it, and a lot less like, because I think one of the things that really bugs me about stuff today, and it's a big trend, and a lot of people jump on the trend, but I do not enjoy it, is where they like to reboot things, but like their idea of rebooting it is to like take whatever it is, strip it down to the base skeleton of what it is.
Yeah.
And then make it dark and gritty.
Yeah.
And realistic. I hate that. I hate
Right.
people like people all the time like, oh man, what if they made like Power Rangers? I know people all the time like, man, if they want to make Power Rangers dark and gritty. I don't like that's not why
Right.
Why not just make your own property that's
exactly.
That's similar enough to where you can get what you're trying to say, but I don't want to see that shit. Like I don't want to see, oh, what if they take Mario and made him dark and gritty?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to see that. Like just we had one movie that did it right the first time. Like don't go back and reboot it.
Are you talking about Mario when you say that? Just to clarify.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
The good movie.
They did it right, huh?
Did it right the first time. We don't need to make it dark and gritty. But no, like, I hate when they do that. They take these like properties that people love, like the Super Mario Brothers, the movie,
right?
And they just want to strip them down, and make them dark and gritty. Like that's like a trend that I think it's kind of died down maybe a little bit in the last few years.
Yeah, I think Marvel's typically colorful enough to kind of counter that, I guess.
Right. So it was a bad trend. I hated it because it was like like taking Ghostbusters and shit.
Oh my god.
That 2016 one, like I don't think that was their intention, but just rebooting bad reboots in general. But no, like Hercules and Xena and all these shows in the 90s, like they're all a little campy, and that's fine.
Right.
Like X-Files is even campy, even when they're trying to be serious. It's campy.
Yeah.
And you're okay with it because you're having fun. And like these Hercules and Xena episodes, that they are just campy as hell. Like it's grown men and women, running around in like used Renaissance fair costumes and fighting bad CGI monsters, and it's fun.
It is.
It's a good.
I
it's a good
loved watching Hercules and Xena growing up. Those were awesome. I had the most as a kid, even and I even could go back now and watch it. Like, thank God for this podcast because it had been forever since I had seen. Oh, nice.
For all our Campbellites, they're on Tubi.
Tubi
both
for
series
free.
in full on Tubi for free.
That's so cool. I'm gonna have to. I forgot about that. I'm gonna have to. Yeah. I'm gonna have to do that.
That was a lifesaver when we found that out.
I know.
So we actually, you and I had talked about maybe returning. There's a couple.
Oh, I want to.
Like, more standout episodes. There's an episode of Hercules where he plays two Autolycuses, and
neat.
There's a couple episodes of Xena where he plays Rob Tappert.
Okay, right.
Tappert,
right. Rob Rip. Yeah.
There's like some interesting stuff with that, and like
I think we should, because wouldn't that add to our TED tally too? If we kind of did some more, I think he was in some of it.
I don't know if him and Bruce ever won together. That's the thing.
Okay. Well, that'll be interesting to see.
We'll have to look and see if there's any episodes with him. And he has a recurring character as well, right? He's like
I think so. Yeah, if I remember correctly, he does.
He's another one of those like demigods, like Autolycus and stuff.
Yeah. Except like still Ted.
That's one takeaway is our varying opinions on Ted.
I know.
Amongst cast.
Seriously.
Dan has some very strong opinions of Ted.
Yep.
I have grown just such appreciation of that guy.
I know.
And his just willingness to do whatever the hell they ask him to do.
I know. Everybody needs that kind of friend. Yeah. He's that friend.
So Hercules and Xena, the Xena episode, it was myself, you, Ben, and Ian, and we gave that a certified groovy.
Yep.
Hercules, King of Thieves, which is technically the first introduction of Autolycus. It was myself, you, and Ben, and we gave it a certified groovy.
Boom.
Back-to-back certified groovies, and it's double feature that we decided to do for no reason. It wasn't a special one like that. I kicked myself later. It's like, man, we could have made 2 pieces of content.
I know. That was 2 weeks right there.
We dropped 2 weeks content 1 week. You're welcome, Campbellites.
Yep. We wanted to be generous. That's what it was. Yeah.
It was a thank you to our listeners we were building at the time.
Yeah.
So, then we go on to August 9th. And this is a rough one. August 9th. This is the weirdest one we've done, I'll say as well. This is The Dead Next Door.
Oh, this was
a tough one.
So weird. Tough. Yes, that was
because we kind of like talked a couple of times about like, well, how do we do this?
Cover this? Yeah. What do we do?
Because the thing with it is, this is starring Bruce
in a way,
but he ADRs the main character Raimi.
Right. That's right. His name is Raimi. Jesus.
He ADRs the main character's dialogue.
So he's the voice, but he's not the actor that you're seeing on screen. It's
right.
Very
it's
weird.
Weird.
I'd never heard of anything to that extent before.
No.
Yeah.
It's super weird because like they cast a guy that had like Bruce characteristics, I guess. Like the guy
Right.
kind of like
He had dark hair. He was well muscled. He was
decent chin.
Pretty decent chin. Not
a decent chin.
Not Bruce level chin, but he had a chin.
And
so
he would like even like do like faces, and like there's a couple times when he's like delivering lines, as himself, and he's delivering them he'll do like a Bruce Campbell like eye cock or like kind of like a smirk,
that coy
like,
kind of look he has.
Yeah, like he's like. It would kind of be like, man, he's like reading as Bruce. It was super weird. Like this guy could pass, like if he went to a convention and dressed like a blue shirt with a chainsaw hand, he could go there and like win like a Ash Williams, he looked like contest something. I feel like, but he was not good at all. Like, I want to say not him, but like the movie.
That was a bad movie.
It was so weird. It was so weird. It was a bad movie. We find out as well that Sam Raimi is a producer on it, and he even does it under like a fake name.
Oh, that's right. What was it? What was it?
The Master Cylinder.
The Master Cylinder.
I don't know what that means, but he's a producer of it. And also he used some of the budget from Evil Dead 2 to help with post-production on the movie.
Well, that was nice of him.
And I can only assume that this was like, they were like, well, shit, like, what do we do with this? And like, I don't even know why he was involved. This was filmed in Akron, Ohio, which is like,
oh, cool.
Right around where we like, close to where
they're within like driving distance.
Yeah, I mean, take like a trip up there to like see the sights of Dead Next Door. Dead Next Door tour. We should have.
I know some people up there.
We should have and filmed Dead Next Door or recorded Dead Next Door in Akron.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Or better yet, we should have said we did.
There we go. We should have just said we did.
But,
well.
We find out that like whatever reason they used budget from Evil Dead 2 to help fund this movie in the post-production.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what the connection with Bruce or with Raimi and this guy is. The effects artist on this was outstanding. We found out later like the effects guy from this went on to do bigger and better things. That's right. See, the effects in this movie are fantastic.
They were.
That might be what kind of like intrigued Raimi about it. This movie maybe has some potential because of the effects. I feel like they added Bruce in later. It's like, listen, we need like a hook to sell this movie. Bruce will come in and he'll take a day and ADR the guy's dialogue, and here you go. And he also does the ADR for another character as well, like the main villain guy.
That's right. Yeah. I wonder why they were involved in this. I'm trying to.
I don't know. It's so peculiar. That episode was, of course, myself, you, Ian, and Urs.
Mm-hmm.
And this earned, despite all their effort, it earned it a unanimous not groovy.
Not groovy.
So then,
that was a hard. Oh, man. Anyway,
despite all that shit, August 23rd, we get one of the big ones.
Ooh.
Evil Dead 2.
Ooh, that's right.
Dead by Dawn. This featured myself, you, Ian, Eric, and Urs. The whole crew at the time. Sans Mike.
Yep. Ghost Mike.
He was there doing the audio. All five of us reviewing this, and I was super excited for this one because this is where it's a pseudo like reboot remake of the first movie. Like the first 10 minutes of the movie are kind of like redacting the first movie,
right?
Retelling it to where it's just Bruce and his girlfriend now. No sister and friends. It's just Bruce and his girlfriend
just the
going
two
on
of
a trip to a cabin. He listens to a recording, and hell, all the events of the first movie happen just with one person.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruce is a sole survivor. And it's just, it goes a complete tonal shift in the first movie. Because this is where you get a lot of the Three Stooges, slapsticky stuff.
You can definitely see that influence for sure in this one. Yeah.
This is where Ash Williams becomes like kind of like an 80s action guy. Like, he starts spouting off one-liners and quick quips and, beating the shit, fighting back against the evil. And
yes.
The iconic chainsaw hand.
Yes.
Is introduced here, and it is off the walls, just insanity. And it truly is like a trip of madness. Like it's like it is
a descent into madness. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's just all like for a good part of the movie, it's literally just Bruce reacting to
just Bruce in the set. Yeah.
It's him by himself, punching himself in the face, fighting himself.
Yeah. some of
There's
my
that
favorite
great
parts of the
scene where he
movie.
fights himself, his hand in the kitchen.
In the kitchen with all the plates
All
and
the
everything.
plates, he
And,
just
oh
keeps
my
smashing
God.
plates over his head.
That was incredible.
and it's all like one shot.
Yep.
There's so many one shots.
There were.
Like this another one where we need to get you to come in and cut the audio
Do that.
clip as well.
Watch along for that. Yeah, because
That one shot at the beginning where he
I
tries
lost
to
it.
leave with the car. The evil chase him. He turns around. He wrecks the car. He leaves the car, runs to the house. Evil's chasing the whole time.
Busts
And it's
through
like
the house.
It's like a 3-minute long sequence.
Yep. And I was losing my
You don't realize
shit.
the one shot till like it doesn't hit you immediately because like this is always
Right.
going on. And then you realize like holy
They
shit,
haven't
this has
cut
been
yet.
one shot, and they're running through walls or slamming
Smashing
doors.
shit in front of the camera. Like he's turning around and basically chucking shit at the camera.
It is
Holy
fucking
God.
insane!
It was nuts. And once you had to point it out to me because you're right. You didn't notice at first that it was a long take. And then it kept going after you did point it out. And it's like, oh my God, it's still going. Holy shit. I think I freak out. I think that's another clip of me freaking out. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
is. I've mentioned Mike a couple times and you get that clip. I have the timestamp somewhere I wrote down.
Yeah. There we go.
And that is. But,
just match it up to the one take. Yeah.
It is insane. And it's so good. Like that movie, it just I always say like, I wish I was like a fan of the Evil Dead going to the theater in 1989 to watch Evil Dead 2, like thinking what's about to happen.
And then
what their reaction must have been at the just complete tonal shift of the complete flipping of the world.
Yeah.
Where it's like now it's no longer this like gory, I don't even know how to put it, like this like trip of misery where you're just like feeling just so bad for these people.
Yeah.
Now it's just this like insane ride of what the fuck is going to happen next.
Yeah.
Because you don't fucking know what's going to happen. You cannot watch that movie for the first time and be like, this is the scene where this happens. Obviously.
Right. It's
nothing happens. It's like, no, this is where
right.
like, the walls shoot blood geysers.
Yep.
Like you don't know what the fucking thing.
And it is like, cause that was my first time watching it. For that episode, and it's like I had some idea of what to expect, but that just made me all the more surprised by the shit that would go down. Cause I'm like, oh, fuck, so many different times. Cause it turns you on your head a couple of different times, really. Mm-hmm. There's a tonal shift. It's like, it's a big tonal shift from the first movie. And that's kind of the interesting part. I wonder if that was the movie he wanted to make the first time, or if he just kind of kept thinking about it afterwards and was like, nah, you know what?
I wonder. I do wonder. Because like, it's just like, it's such a complete night and day. Like, I don't think you compare these two movies. Like,
no.
I do think there's like two timelines. Like in my opinion of like because the Evil Dead, like most horror films, I mean, so many horror films have these like muddy, like migraine-inducing timelines. Like, the Halloween franchise, franchise. All these movies. In my mind, I think there's two timelines to the Evil Dead. There is 1981 Evil Dead timeline, which all that is 1981 Evil Dead and 2013 Evil Dead, and that's it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
And then there's the second timeline, which is just Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Okay.
I feel like they're two separate timelines, and like the first
that makes sense.
10 minutes of the Evil Dead 2 is a completely different movie than what we saw in 1981.
It is, yeah, and it's because of like behind the scenes, movie rights bullshit or whatever. But like we have what we have from it, and so they kind of just rebooted it some, So
and
I agree.
Like we have Evil Dead, Ash vs. Evil Dead. Season 1, episode 1, like kind of muddies that up even more though, because it shows clips from both.
Yeah, that's
Evil
right,
Dead
from
2
both
and
of
Evil
them.
Dead 1.
Yeah,
but I feel as though you have your timeline 1, 1981 Evil Dead, 2013 Evil Dead, and timeline 2, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Ash vs. Evil Dead. That's
that
the way
makes sense.
I see it, because I think just
Ties
totally,
headcanon
like,
makes
those
sense.
two are so different. And I feel like the 2013 Evil Dead, like they acknowledge Evil Dead 1981, like they, there's a delta in the driveway. Both the front and back doors are busted out of the cabin. It's like at the end of 1981 Evil Dead, where the evil.
You're right. No, yeah.
House.
The tones for these timelines does make a lot of sense. You're right. Because that is
like that's my theory.
Timeline 1 was definitely more of a horror, the horror movies in the group, and they kind of No, that's a cool. I like that, Ty. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So that, of course, earned it a certified groovy amongst the cult.
Yep.
That was all 5 of us: Ben, Ty, Ian, Eric, Urs, all 5 dropping groovy ratings across the board.
Boom.
And rightfully so.
Yes.
But next, September 6th, a dark day in the pod.
Oh,
We watched
no.
Minnow's Mind.
Oh, the cult collapse.
The cult collapse.
Oh my
this
gosh.
movie is, and this movie is kind of like infamous amongst like us because this is a cool little piece of information here.
Uh-huh.
We actually had months later, oddly, months after we published the episode, randomly the writer of the movie decided to scold us on YouTube about at least he made a movie, and we hope that our tens of fans enjoyed listening to us critique his work. Great guy. We talked to him a little bit. We smoothed things over, but it was just odd that after months of I looked him up, I didn't tag him in anything. I didn't hashtag whatever his name was. I didn't do any of that. I only hashtagged like Bruce and stuff like that. And he must have been chilling out one Tuesday morning and decided to Google his name. I don't know
how he found us. Yeah.
I don't know how he found us, but he did. And we had some choice things to say about him in the episode. I
know.
Had some very bad things to say about his writing.
The writing just yep.
This movie we did not finish. If you listen to the episode, you'll know that we
didn't
made it to where Bruce died. I fast forward through the movie. I did the four times speed through the movie
to see if he
make sure that Bruce didn't pop up in like some ghost appearance or something. He did not. So we watched about the first half hour of the movie, and Ben and Ian both refused to continue.
They did.
I agreed that there was
no point
because this was the epitome of 1980s pre-Matrix generic sci-fi garbage. That's what it was.
Oh no. Oh my God.
I mean, that's what it was. It was just like this generic, like, we've got big ideas because we say they're big ideas. Bland, just like, I don't know. Had like it felt like you're watching a daytime soap opera. It's just bad and boring and zero fun to watch. And they had Bruce Campbell and Billy Campbell, right? Or
Billy Campbell was the other Campbell. No relation. Just happened to be 2 Campbells on board.
Bruce wasn't.
They picked their own Campbell to make their lead.
I don't know if I feel like he was there for a day, maybe 2.
Yeah, just on the one set.
Record his lines, then that was it. And it was just not fun. And we had to make the executive decision to stop.
You call that an executive decision? Yeah. That was a desperate fleeing. That was
And it was even worse because that day when we had we were trying to set a precedence with the Evil Dead at this time, where we wanted all the Evil Dead episodes to feature all 5 of us.
Right.
And we had been trying for a few weeks. Like, our schedules are all pretty diverse, so we was like trying for weeks to set up Evil Dead 2013. We wanted to record Evil Dead 2013 all this together.
Oh yeah.
And we had planned. All right, we had this day. It was locked in. This was the date we were doing it. Ben was coming. Ian was coming. Urs had something come up. He's like, "Hey guys, I can't make it."
Yeah.
Oh, shit. We can't do this. We get there. Ben is super excited to watch Evil Dead 2013.
I know. He was looking forward to it so much.
It's one of his favorite movies. But we were trying at this time to
make sure.
Precedents.
Yeah. Everyone was on for the Evil Dead stuff. That's what we wanted. So
we couldn't do it.
Nope.
So I was like, oh, well, let me just look and see what I can find online to watch. Tubi has Minnow's Mind.
That's on the list. Let's do that.
That's on the list. Like, let's do it.
Get it knocked out.
What a shit show.
My God. Ben was so disappointed.
Yeah. Now, the writer he gave us some info on the making of. He was a little bit, because we smooth things over with him,
Yeah.
And he kind of let us know how, it wasn't his original vision. This is apparently a short story he had written in like school.
Oh,
And
cool.
he was a
Okay.
big fan of like Ray Bradbury stuff, and this was like kind of his like ode to Ray Bradbury, but budgetary and studio input and things like that just kind of muddled up the waters to where it didn't turn out the way he wanted. Like he dropped all that in the comments and stuff. And
Yeah.
by all means,
Which is pretty cool behind the scenes info there. That's
I would
pretty
love
neat.
to talk to this guy more. I would love to talk to him more about it, but unfortunately, with YouTube comments, there's no way for me to reach out. You can't give out personal information on YouTube comments because then it becomes public information.
Yeah.
I don't want to be giving out like our numbers or our contact info that way. But by all means, if you're out there and you're listening, writer of Minnow's Mind, I would love to talk to you more about this project and get some behind the scenes.
Mark. It's Mark.
Maybe do a little special on Minnow's Mind, because this was a very big episode amongst our cast, because it does still get brought up to this day.
Yeah, it does. And
I would love to talk to you more about it. If you want to reach out, you can hit us up on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook at Cult Talk Net, and we can establish a line of contact.
Because that would be a pretty cool thing. That's actually, I think, kind of important for people to know who do want to make movies, like that things don't always go well from writing of the script to shooting of the movie. So I wonder, it'd be cool to get some insights on that process from somebody who got to experience that. And others, obviously he's done other stuff.
Yeah, we could do Mark's Mind.
Mark's Mind. Oh, I like that. I like that title. Yeah, Mark's Mind.
His name Mark's, yeah.
Yeah. Mark Valenti.
Right. So that gave us all, that earned itself a unanimous not groovy.
It was unanimous not groovy.
And it was,
Bruce.
we'll move on past it.
Why,
we have another rough one on the way. September was not a good month. September was a rough month.
September. Wake me up when September ends. I'm so sorry. I thought I'd make it through an episode without.
No, you couldn't.
I couldn't.
That was
I have a problem. Thank you.
So, September 20th, we drop one of 3 tornado-themed films from 1996.
Oh, yeah. 3.
This one stars neither Bill Paxton, Twister, or Devon Sawa of Night of the Twisters.
Oh,
this instead is Bruce Campbell and Tornado!
Exclamation point. Yep.
Tornado! And this featured myself,
Uh-huh.
you, and Ben.
Yep.
And I had to fucking buy this movie for $8.
You remember that
Amazon
price.
Prime.
Every
Amazon
penny.
Prime. Yeah, I had to buy this movie. Like, I'm ever going to watch fucking Tornado again in my life. Like, I own this now at my disposal.
It's
Anytime I
yours
open up
forever.
Amazon Prime, I now have the option to watch. If I so please, I can watch Tornado at any point when I have Amazon Prime opened up.
Yep. At your disposal.
This
you lucky
movie,
man.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
I remember watching this movie like very vaguely on like TNT or USA or like something like that in the early 90s or the late 90s. One of those like late nights or like, Sunday evening kind of things where there's just, they throw a movie on there to fill up time.
Yeah.
And I caught, bits and bobs of it. And then to watch it in full as an adult was just awful.
Oh, yeah. That was a rough
all-star
movie.
cast, though. I mean, it's got a great cast.
They did.
Bruce,
they had a really good cast.
Ernie Hudson, and what's the old man's name? Like in a lot of shit.
Hang on, let me see if I can.
I forget. He's in a lot of things, but he was in just a good little cast.
Let me see if I can pull up his name. I'm on IMDb anyway.
All of them were.
IMDb is like, do you mean Twister? No.
I was like, you sure you don't look up Twister instead? Tornado, eh? Well, how about you just save yourself a hassle and just watch Twister?
Watch Twister.
And it was the funnest thing about this was the similarities between it and Twister.
Yeah.
Were almost so just like.
I was convinced that there was some corporate espionage going on.
There's something going on there.
Major story
so many
beats were pretty
similarities
similar
between these two movies.
Yeah.
And chronologically, this
came out first.
Twister.
Yeah, it does.
But I would hazard to say this was made in a hell of a shorter time than.
Oh, yeah. They didn't need to spend nearly as much time on the script, production, or editing when you compare the two in their quality.
I would hazard to say that Twister was already shot. Enough information was out there about it, and they banged this movie out in like a month.
Yeah, I'll bet you're right.
Because there's not even that many effects scenes. There's like 2 or 3 tornado effects, and they're from a distance. They're just shitty, like
Yeah, they're not
black swirling smudges.
Yeah, they smudged.
The whole finale is like contained into like a little sound set. A little sound stage. You can tell where there's like just wind blowing and cardboard boxes and trash bags blowing around.
Yeah,
and I would hazard to say this movie was shot over the course of the post production of Twister.
Yeah, I'll bet you're right.
That's why I'm thinking. I'm thinking there was enough.
They just
info
rushed it out.
Yeah, it was a rush job. There was enough information out there about Ash vs. Evil Dead where they just need to get it out. That's my opinion.
That's certainly the kind of movie that we ended up with. That's the feeling I get from it.
Oh yeah, fucking zero life behind it. It was just just a lifeless movie that was just kind of capitalized on this big summer blockbuster that was coming out. And we see that a lot. That's that's a very common thing in film. And this right here was Bruce's mockbuster is what they call him.
Mockbuster.
This was Bruce's mockbuster, and it was terrible.
Yes,
and I'm glad we only had to watch it once because I will never watch it again, despite me having the ability to watch it anytime.
Full bought and paid for ability to watch it anytime that you like.
We close out September. Oh, that earned itself, of course, a unanimous not group.
Of course, yes.
But we come on. We're finishing out September 7th, and we do our we call this like the Cultober kickoff or something like that. I believe we do a movie I don't think a lot of people have seen. This is the Within the Woods. This was the short film that precursed Evil Dead. This was kind of like a proof of concept, I would say, or like
I would very much call it that. Because they used it to kind of raise a budget for the Evil Dead. And that was kind of the purpose in making it. So yeah, definitely a precursor or
and we get a lot of cool. Later on, we got some cool shit, and like Evil Dead 2, we got to see like some straight up scene for scene reshoots of Within the Woods. That was really cool to see.
Yeah, so they must have been scenes that he really liked and wanted to do. Do again.
This
but
episode,
better.
Of course, featured myself, you, Ian, and Urs. And this was one of our tie episodes where you and Ian gave it a groovy, myself and Urs gave it a not groovy.
Yes,
because Bruce is just kind of like a dweeb in this one.
Yeah,
he does like play the main villain, the main like antagonist in it.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool to see.
That was pretty neat.
But overall, it's just
you didn't find it to be quite groovy.
I did not find it good. I mean, that's the problem. That's the problem watching these movies in the order I've watched them in is that I've seen Ash vs. Evil Dead. I've seen Army of Darkness. I've seen Evil Dead 2. So now I'm like seeing Bruce like kind of devolved into like this like less charismatic Ash Williams. Right. So now we kick off Cultober. This is our big event. This is our big yearly event, hopefully.
Yep.
Cultober, our celebration of all things Halloween. And we dropped, instead of doing our off weeks like we usually do with a movie followed by an Ash vs. Evil Dead, in celebration of Cultober, we decided it was going to be 4 brand new full episodes of Cult of Campbell, starting off with Moontrap.
Moontrap was the start of Cultober.
Not only the start of Cultober, this was Mike's first episode.
The introduction to Mike. He's no longer a ghost at this point.
This is his first appearance on the Cult of Campbell.
That poor guy.
Yeah, of course. What a way to kick things off. And we did Moontrap. This is all of our first time watching it.
Yep.
This starred Bruce Campbell and Star Trek's Walter Koenig. I can't remember how to pronounce his name.
Oh, me neither. Yeah.
But he was the star, whereas Bruce was kind of the sidekick.
Yeah, that's right.
Talking about Moontrap. Jesus Christ.
I know, you're yawning even thinking about it. Just, yep.
That's probably the best way to put it. This movie was just a bland movie. Boring.
The best part of it only lasted for like a minute when he was like possessed by the,
Not even that.
I know.
It was like one shot.
I know. It was just a second. He
gets taken over and like assimilated into a
like
robot,
and
has this like grotesque, this horrifying like smile, stretched across. One shot, boom, dead. Instead of like they should have made him
such a waste. He could have
made him like the main antagonist. Like he cuts down Walter for the rest of the movie. Yeah,
right. It would have been perfect.
That movie rightfully kicked off Cultober with unanimous not groovy.
Yeah,
but I will say it didn't set a precedence because Cultober was actually pretty good.
Oh my gosh, yes. I loved Cultober.
But
Yeah.
to kick it off with Moontrap, as far as Cult of Campbell, we kicked off Cultober with Halloween 1978, which was a blast.
Yes.
But
That's
Cult
true.
of Campbell
Yeah.
kicked off with Moontrap. Now,
Yes.
full disclosure, Moontrap was never originally on the slate.
Oh, really?
It was originally supposed to be Terminal Invasion because we were trying to theme out our weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And the first week, I guess the first week was kickoff week where we did like Within the Woods and Halloween.
Mhm.
That was kickoff week. The second week was going to be Space Week, I think they called it.
Right.
Terror from Above or
Terror
something
from
like that, we call
Above.
it.
Yeah.
And it was going to be all like alien and like space themed
yeah.
movies. And we originally had Terminal Invasion on the slate, and Terminal Invasion is just hard to find. I'm going to end up buying it for way too much than I want to, but I'm going to buy it just so we have it. It's a movie I really want to cover because I have like nostalgic feelings for it because I used to watch on Sci-Fi literally all the time. For the longest time, it was Sci-Fi's like highest rated movie.
Oh, wow.
For a long time, it was like their like big movie.
Huh.
And I really want to watch it again, so I'm probably going to end up paying a little more than what I want to for it, but I'm going to get it for us.
But if you can spend money on
If I've got tornado money,
if you've got
turn
tornado
on
money,
Invasion money.
yeah.
But it was originally supposed to be Terminal Invasion, but it got when we couldn't find Terminal Invasion, I was like, well, fuck, what do? We got to find another space movie, and we already did Alien Apocalypse.
Right.
So I typed in something, I found it, and by some means there was like a perfect 1080p rip of Moontrap on YouTube. So saved our asses. We were able to watch Moontrap, and
thank God we were able to watch Moontrap.
God, yeah,
that's sort of.
But then Cultober, upticked big in the next one. With October 11th, it was myself, you, Ian, and Ben. We got to watch My Name is Bruce.
Ah, yes.
My name is Bruce. That is a fun movie. So it's Bruce playing himself. It to me seems like a precursor to Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Oh, okay.
Like that's because there's a lot of similarities between the way he portrays himself
and the way
that he portrays Ash in the Ash vs. Evil Dead series.
Yeah,
and like he even lives in like a camper, which I always thought was kind of like a weird
kind of an Ash
he
thing.
lives in a camper. Yeah. And just drinks constantly. It was very much like episode 1 Ash Williams.
Yeah.
So this movie is it's so weird, where it's like him fighting a Asian samurai in the middle of like the country for some reason, and like Ted Raimi is there playing 3 different characters, and maybe even like some out of touch voices he decides to do.
Oh my gosh. Yep.
One of them.
One of them.
But he just fucking does it. He's like, that's why I was like, man, like Ted will just do anything. Like that's career suicide.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, whatever.
It's fine.
I'm just Ted Raimi.
Ted Raimi. Like,
yeah, no one cares. What are they going to do? Like, he's going to make a big fuss. The 4 people who know about him on Twitter are going to make like a big deal about cancel Ted Raimi. Then he's going to lose out of like his 5s of work that he does every decade. Like,
yep.
I mean, like, it's Ted Raimi. He
Right.
just fucking went for it, and he gave it his all. And man, I love Ted.
He's fun. I do have fun.
And this movie is such a blast. Like it's just Bruce just being insufferable asshole the whole time. Like he has like 0 redeeming qualities. Like he's like pushing kids and throwing old women out cars and disrespecting disabled veterans.
Oh my god. Yep.
And he's our hero.
Yes. Oh,
and it's
so
such a fun
funny.
movie.
Yep.
And I was so glad you guys enjoyed it because this right here earned itself a certified groovy amongst the cult. I was so glad you guys enjoyed it because this was one I was like not as nervous about it as with Bubba Hotep, because Bubba Hotep I like hold in very high regards, but I liked My Name is Bruce. I was like, man, I hope they like Bruce.
Right.
My Name is Bruce as well.
Yeah.
And luckily you guys did.
Yeah.
And the next one, speaking of certified groovies, no qualms about it. This one right here earned itself a certified groovy. And kind of like capped off the trilogy. This is Army of Darkness.
Ooh, yes.
Featuring myself, you, Ben, and Mike. And I was so excited about this one because I really was like anticipating getting your reaction to where like you had just seen Evil Dead 2, where it's Cabin in the Woods horror movie.
Right. Modern day.
And now all of a sudden we're in medieval times. Fighting, with swords and riding horses and, swashbuckling around on ropes, and
Yep.
comedy is really amped up. I still stand by, like, this could have been, I feel like, with a very small script tweak with dialogue, this could have passed for a 1980s like kids movie. Like, you look at like Gremlins and shit, like, and Goonies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
With just tweaking some dialogue, because it's not even that gory. I mean, all the gore is like
Not terribly.
skeletons getting exploded.
Right. Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah.
I mean,
I see what you mean.
this could have been tweaked to be just like a kid family movie. Like, it really could have.
Yeah, right. Just basically, cut out a little bit here and there, and then
there's no blood geysers. There's no, like,
right.
There's the only thing I think of is the Evil Ash, getting his face exploded off. But
yeah, they'd have to do something with Evil Ash that would be different, I think, because his face was kind of gross by the end.
Right.
But I think overall,
kind of like a family adventure film.
Yeah,
one of the good ones, like in the 80s. The 80s were so, like, you look at some of the movies that passed as kids movies back then, and it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, I watched, like, what did I watch the other day? It's this Howie Mandel movie.
Okay.
He's a monster under the bed.
Oh, hold on.
Fuck, I bought it on Blu-ray literally like 2 weeks ago. Little Monsters.
Little Monsters. Yeah, I know that movie.
Little Monsters. And that movie is, like, it's horrifying. It's
it's really
like
scary.
Trying to abduct kids
Yeah.
into his monster world to turn them into monsters. That's our hero. And just causing them to be little assholes for no reason. Like, he's like, having him go and, like, a piss in his friend's juice.
Oh my God!
For no other reason but to be a little asshole.
Just
and that's
to be mean. Just to be a little monster.
Like, they were so lax that shit. I really feel like Army of Darkness could have been a family film, or considered a family film for the time.
Right. Just a few tweaks and it would have been there. I can see that. That's the vibe it got.
Yeah, that earned itself a certified groovy. Yeah, it's just a swashbuckling adventure movie. Like,
fuck yeah! Once again, turning the franchise on its head for the better.
I guess there's a blood geyser. I forgot the blood geyser at the beginning.
At the very beginning, I think that's right. But
it could have passed. I don't know. They could make it green.
Yeah, they could have just changed the color to something goopy. Yeah, just something else goopy.
Yep. But then we go on to our Halloween special, and this was interesting because this is the first episode first main episode I wasn't a part of.
Oh yeah.
I'd been out of the Ash vs. Evil Dead a couple times because we rotate the pairs.
Right.
But for me, this was the first one where I was not there. I wasn't present. I wasn't on the recording. And this was Charmed. Oh, Which Way Now? It premiered on October 5th.
Yeah.
October 25th, sorry.
Yep.
And it featured Mike, Ian, Urs, and you, Eric. What are your thoughts on Charmed?
Oh boy. So yeah, I remember being pretty disappointed with it. But it was kind of so that was a fun episode because it was basically like Michael kind of pressing his fingers to his eyebrows or temples in frustration as he kind of had to explain to us Charmed along the way. He's like, oh my God, this whole episode is just going to be me explaining Charmed to you.
That's an interesting dynamic that I love. So I draw comparisons to this episode with the X-Files episode.
Oh, okay.
Where I had a lot of knowledge on X-Files, and I was kind of filling you guys in on, because like at the beginning of that X-Files episode, Mulder and Scully are like doing clerical work and stuff, and like Bruce, Fox Mulder goes out on this like mission, kind of just like by something he found in the trash, and you guys were like, oh, why is he not just on the case?
Right, you had to fill us in
at that point in the series that they weren't part of the X-Files. X-Files was closed, all that stuff, and there's parallels between that and this Charmed, where Mike had to fill you guys on everything Charmed because he, for whatever reason, loves Charmed. And I've lived with Mike, for like years. And I've known that about him, where he'll binge Charmed periodically.
That's so funny. I would not have pegged that for Mike to just. Oh,
he's.
I was so surprised.
That's one of the reasons we're going to return to Burn Notice, because Mike also periodically binges Burn Notice.
Nice, and he'll be a good one to help us cover that. Yes.
Right, and so you guys, I believe, gave this like a unanimous not groovy, if I recall.
I believe that's correct.
Because Bruce was, if I remember right, you guys talk about how he wasn't like even an integral part of the plot.
Nope, we weren't happy with the Bruce we got out of that one. That's for sure. He just was not in it enough, and he was the bad guy, but not even like not in a fun way. You know what I mean?
Satisfying way, yeah.
No, I was very disappointed with the Bruce performance that we got there. I had some hopes for it with where the plot was going, and I just didn't like it. You know what I mean? He was like some undercover witch hunter instead. You know, I don't know. I just didn't like it. Didn't buy it. He didn't. He was just there.
So Culttober was like very weird. Where it was like it started out with a not groovy. We have 2 certified groovies, and then we end it with a not groovy.
That is pretty interesting.
It's this not groovy certified groovy sandwich.
So yeah, it's one way or the other. There is no in between in Culttober, is there?
And if we're covering the feed, October 31st, we dropped our first like non-canon special, I guess we'll call it.
Okay. Yeah.
Where we released Trick or Treat, our first like our first holiday special, or in our trilogy of holiday specials, which got dropped on the feeds.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a fun one. I wasn't part of that one either, but that was a very fun episode. Kind of like dipping our toes into the like more I guess broader spectrum of horror. You know, doing horror movies for the sake of horror movies, and you know, kind of just doing these holiday specials.
Yeah.
But then we returned back to Bruce in November.
Mm-hmm.
November 8th, we drop Evil Dead 2013. So I guess kind of return to Bruce.
Right.
This is the first episode where we reviewed the movie in particular, where we actually reviewed the movie.
That's
because
right.
Bruce is in this movie for literally a second.
Yep.
Literally a second.
Yep.
And then the rest of the movie is produced by Bruce. So we reviewed the movie. This was myself, you, Ian, and Ben. And we gave this movie a certified groovy across the board because it is fantastic.
It was. That was a
as
really
far
good
as
movie.
Remakes, reboots go.
Oh,
can't touch this movie.
Nope.
It's amazing.
It really is. They nailed it. It was really good. I mean, you know, every movie has its problems, I guess, but like, just good Lord, it was so really good.
Goddamn graphic. Just
literally
one of the few movies I watched where I was like, I have to like squint, I have to like look away. Because they hold nothing back. It's like you're getting tongue slices and eye gouges and all that shit. It's not played for comedy.
No,
it's not the wacky stuff. Like this is like
straight up
gory shit.
Yeah,
like,
they want you cringing before they then force you to watch.
Yes.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyway, it was good.
So then on November
November
22nd, we released our first like our first like Cult of Campbell special, I guess I'd call it.
Okay.
It's our Thanksgiving special where you, I, and Ben just talked about how much we liked Evil Dead.
Oh yeah.
Franchise.
Yep.
Our thankful for Evil Dead franchise.
We were thankful for the Evil Dead franchise.
And we talked about the first half of the Evil Dead. We talked about all the way up to Army of Darkness, I believe.
Yes, and we did not yet go into
Ash vs. Evil Dead
because we haven't finished going through that series yet.
Yes.
So
we didn't touch on Ash vs. Evil Dead or the 2013 Evil Dead.
Oh,
but
right.
we touched on like Within the Woods, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. Just how much we love those movies. Basically, that's just like talking about our love for these movies and how much we enjoyed them.
Oh yeah. And you know, that one's a little more rambly, but it was kind of neat to be able to do that, kind of because you know, I'm sure to our listeners we sound like we're having, you know, just kind of wild conversation and stuff, but you have to understand there is still a structure to it.
Yes, we do have.
There's a path for us to follow. However, you know, if sometimes we step off of the path to take a piss, that's fine. We stay on it, nevertheless. But that one was a little more freeform, right? But that one was a little more fun. We got to be a little bit more free. We still kind of walked through the steps, but just talking about, I feel like that was kind of. Wasn't that where we got an idea for another podcast that was just a little more conversational, basically? Kind of, because that was fun. That was a fun episode. Yeah.
Cult of Life, which maybe you might come
Cult of Life
here soon. Speaking of fun, November 25th, we released another holiday special onto the feeds for Thanksgiving. We got to, myself, Mike, and Urs got to show you Thanksgiving.
Oh, yes.
Tom Turkey. Or just Turkey. It's Turkey. It's Turkey with an IE.
I think it's just Turkey with an IE.
We got to see with Turkey and get your reaction to that as it was one of our specials where we record it live as we're watching the movie.
Yep.
And we got to hear your brain meltdown at the utter madness it is.
Yes, that was a wild ride.
Best Thanksgiving horror film, in my opinion.
I don't even know what it's up against. So I guess.
I'll hear your argument. I'll hear no argument.
Yeah. Until it's disputed. There it goes. There it goes.
There it goes. Until we watch Thanksgiving 3.
Oh my God.
Maybe that one's better. I don't know.
Boy. Okay.
So then the holiday seasons kick off. Myself and Urs, we decided to watch the freshest Bruce we have. This is brand new Bruce.
Brand new Bruce.
Myself and Urs took a look at Black Friday, the 2021 holiday horror film. This is another Thanksgiving horror film. Black Friday, and we're just utterly disappointed. I mean, this movie just sits so sour in my mouth. Just like the potential it had, the hopes I had for it, just everything about it just seemed like it
really
was
looking forward to
could
this.
not fail.
Yeah,
it just seemed like you look at the cast, the concept. The setting, it was a big problem I had, with it being set in a toy store.
Yeah.
I was like, surely we're going to see some like Home Alone or From Dusk Till Dawn, like, innovating toys to fight the monsters and some, let's use these balls and jump ropes to make traps, like all that shit. Like I was like, oh, surely we're going to have some of that. None of it.
Nothing.
They decided to take the movie and shoot it all in the back storage area. I'm sure because of fucking budget, but Bruce's character goes through so many different shifts where he's like one of the good guys. Oh, he's an asshole. One of the good guys. He's an asshole. Like, and it makes sense. He dies off screen very stupidly. Like, there's a whole like horde of these zombie aliens, and like they're coming up through the floor, and he like jumps down into him like he's gonna fight him, but no, it's like a horde of like hands reaching up. So like. He just jumps into his death. Jumps in, like immediately torn apart off screen.
Yeah, I listened to that episode by you guys. You sounded very disappointed.
It's so disappointing and just an utter waste of potential. And I had talked about my theory. I had like this in-head canon theory. I was like hoping, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I was like maybe, because like the same font that they use for Black Friday is the same font they use for Ash vs. Evil Dead. It's the exact same font.
So they were definitely playing up on that.
They were playing up on it. Yeah, it's the exact same font.
That audience, yeah.
And then I was like, wait, this is like Bruce as a store employee fighting zombies.
Yeah.
Is this like a secret like
a secret tie-in
project?
Yeah.
He talked about how he's retiring from Ash Williams, but is this like a swerve and pop it in and oh shit, it's old Ash. He's now the manager of a toy store of an S-Mart or something. Was
kind of
not
backdoor in the
but it was terrible, and we hated it, and we had a good time ripping it apart. But man, that movie leaves a sour taste in my mouth.
I'm sorry.
And then the last thing we'll talk about, fittingly, December 20th, is our Christmas special for Cult of Campbell. This was featured myself and you, and we got to see Bruce play Santa Claus.
Yes.
And just an interesting, cool take on Santa Claus. Just like what nothing we would ever expected.
I loved it. I loved it so much. That was such a cool, like even just from a writing, from the writing of it, it was like just a cool character. What a cool concept for it. And Bruce was perfect for that part. He got to basically play 3 different characters, all in one. That was so fun. I hope he had fun with that role because that was a neat one. It was a really cool role.
And that was actually the post that he liked.
Yes, that's right. I saw it. It was a quote from that movie that you put together with a frame of him as Santa Claus. And
he liked
He did. How cool.
I
was freaking out. I can't. It's like, oh my God, I have devolved into like a fan, like a high school fangirl, like over like, oh my God, he liked it. Oh my God. Yeah. So I still might, man, I wish I had some measure of dignity, but how cool. And that was how we ended our year in a way that we could talk. And the timing was such that we could talk about it in our year review by the end of this journey. All that blood for one like.
Some manner. Some
love it.
manner, but it was enough to make our 2021 good. We
wonderful.
Got a little nudge from Bruce.
Yeah,
and I'll take it as a nudge for approval. Like I see what you guys are doing.
Like a little nod there, or
a little nod.
Yeah.
Keep it up. You'll get to Bulgaria. Keep it
up. There we go. It's a sign. It's a sign from Bruce that you'll get to Bulgaria. That's what he's telling you. With that,
was it. That was we dropped a course on Christmas Day, our Krampus special. That was a blast.
Oh yeah.
But that was our year of main episodes for Ash vs. Evil Dead. What a ride it's been. So much we've learned and got to see. We got to see the good Bruce, the best Bruce, the bad Bruce.
Yeah.
A lot of groovies, a lot of not groovies, certified groovies. Eric, who gave the most groovies?
So the person who gave the most groovies overall was me. I was the one who gave the most groovies, but just by one.
What's your score?
My score, so out of 20 episodes, I gave 13 groovies and 7 not groovies.
Wow.
Yes. So
who gave the most not groovies?
The most not groovies was actually, where is it? You. Yes, by one. Yep, you were the most not groovies given. So there we have it, folks. I, Eric, have given more groovies, the most groovies. Ty has given the most not groovies. Also out of 20 episodes, by the way. So you and I are tied for episodes that we're counting here. This doesn't include our Ash vs. Evil Deads or our special episodes or anything like that.
Right.
Or
right.
Or
so
our
what's my score? What was that? Eight
so
groovies then?
8 not groovies, 12 groovies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So out of 20 episodes. So you're still more than a 50% groovy there. But yep. And then I'm 13 groovies, 7 not groovies out of 20 episodes. So you and I have been on the most out of these kind of episodes that we're talking about.
Yeah,
and,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense we'd be up there.
Yeah, because I am the second most not groovy giver. So I gave 7 not groovies, right? So you and I are just off by one in both directions, really. Yeah. If there had just been one movie that impressed you a little bit more than me or something in there. So there.
Right.
Yeah.
So there we have Ash vs. the whole
thing.
Cult of Campbell, our debut year, and we're hoping that 2022 gives us a whole other year of Bruce. We will be changing the format slightly on the release schedule.
Right. So here's some of what to expect.
Following the end of Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2, which we have 5 episodes left on that, we will no longer be doing the off-week episodes. So we're only going to do 2 episodes a month. They're going to be full episodes, movies, guest starring roles.
Yep.
And it's not because of anything other than like we're now branching out to more projects. The Cult Talk Net is growing.
Cult Talk Net is growing.
Right now we sit at Cult of Campbell, Cult Talk Weird Shit, and Cult of Lore.
Cult of Lore has just launched. Yes.
But we have more coming down the pipe for 2022 that we just need to shuffle our schedules.
Yep.
Cult of Campbell takes a lot to record because we have to watch the movies and
do some research and
3-4 hour process. About 3-4 hour process to record an hour and a half long episode of this,
and that's just the production of it.
Not including about over 2 hours of recording time right now. I don't know how long it's going to take Mike to do, but
oh my gosh, I don't even know how long it's going to take just to run the preliminaries.
But so we changed the format slightly. Hopefully, still just delivering you guys the same quality Campbell we have been. Hopefully, better.
Yeah,
we can shuffle our time more. And
always
also
improving.
Just look out for Cult Talk next. We're just growing. We're trying to expand and give some new content. I have a show coming up here with Bailey.
Oh yes.
You and Ben have Cult of Lore, Cult of Shit. We're looking at other things we want to do.
We have some other options that are in the pipes. Yeah, some other things that we want to do.
We're really trying to.
We're very excited for the future.
Oh yeah, Cult Net's growing. I want to do some stuff like outside of podcasts with the Cult Talk Net name. I really want to do like a coffee table book of Bruce Campbell.
Oh, that's a great idea. Oh, I love that.
We're already picking apart his career.
May as well write a coffee table book about it. Speaking of books, we'll also have to cover some of his books in the coming year. Yep.
Next year we're also going to branch out and do the graphic novels. Like we have the Ash versus Bubba Hotep. Graphic novel we're going to do at some point.
Yes.
Mainstream Brain graphic novel. We got some cool stuff in line, and definitely don't take the change in format as like us
slowing down. It's because of us. No. We're picking up. Yes.
Yeah. So we're just shifting gears.
So we need to free up some of that Ash versus Evil Dead time because frankly it's all groovy. We'll get to season 3, but we need some time to put into some extra special stuff that we're working on. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll still drop some bonuses and things like that.
Sure.
When we have time. But so that was 2021 in a nutshell, in a 2-hour long nutshell.
2-hour long nutshell.
This would be probably our longest episode. Maybe one of the specials is longer, but this is definitely our longest episode of Cult of Campbell.
Right.
And we hope you guys followed along, listened, and sparked some memories of listening to Cult of Campbell this year. And
Yeah.
it was definitely fun. It was fun, like talking about these episodes and getting like little sparks of like, oh, I remember when we watched that and this happened.
Yes. Doing some revisiting.
But until then, I hope everyone has a great holiday. I hope everyone had a great New Year because it comes out on the 3rd. So hopefully everyone's sobered up now and feeling a little more
good time and
up to themselves.
Still feeling confident about their New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, let's get in there. Let's hit the gyms. Let's quit smoking. Let's quit drinking. Whatever it is that you want. Let's do it for a couple weeks.
Reach out and get it. Listen, that's the lesson I'm kind of taking from this. Like, all right, we want to do a podcast, and by the end of that year, man, we got a like from the guy we were talking about.
By the end
cool.
of the year, we did it.
By the end of the year,
So it scares us. We did that. We got that goal.
Where are we going now? Next, is
2023 going to be the year we get to Bulgaria?
Is 2023? Oh Lord! Well,
is that where it ends? This next year we're doing the podcast, the year in review, and there's an email.
Like, wow, we're in.
Oh, there's someone gave us 6 tickets to Bulgaria.
Oh God! Is that where we're going to be in a year? Let's find out.
Imagine recording some podcasts from Bulgaria.
That would be fun.
I'm going to convince Ian to do like a Bulgaria Cult Talk Weird Shit special.
Oh my gosh. There you go. Just so you can keep emphasizing, just keep manifesting.
Yeah.
You really
manifest destiny.
Because at this point we've heard it every episode for many episodes now. You mentioned
I don't mean to bring it up sometimes. I try sometimes. I'm like, they're not bringing it up. It's not being
you can't help yourself.
I'm like,
but,
no, I'm trying to manifest.
You're not. You're watering a seed. You got it. Yeah.
A seed. The Bulgaria seed.
The Bulgaria seed.
So I think with that, we've ended the episode as we usually do, talking about Bulgaria.
Of course.
Thank you, Bruce, for liking our post.
And thank you for your career too. Like just doing what you do. Yeah. I have loved watching it. Like this has been so cool.
And thanks to anyone that's still listening after 2 hours and 20 minutes. If you're listening,
if you're still here listening. Yep.
And we thank everyone that listens to it. Anyone that even follows us on Instagram, watches a video on YouTube, you mean so much to us. It's insane. Like just every little bit helps. And we're just trying to build a nice little community, a nice little fan base. And we hope everyone enjoys what we're putting out there because there's no sense in putting out there if no one's enjoying it. So
right, of course. So we're hoping that
no one was downloading this. If no one was downloading the show or watching the YouTube videos or liking the posts on Instagram, there'd be no reason to do it.
Right.
You guys obviously give us a reason to do it for 37 episodes, and we thank you for that. So
Well,
all right. Well,
wonderful.
Eric, I think we can go ahead and wrap it up here. For the Campbellites.
Right.
Enjoys the first week of 2022. Make it a great one. And I guess until next time.
Well,
stay groovy.
Hail to the king, baby. That's it? That's the best you got?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.